Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365 as we now have wrapped up the regular season and we prepare for the playoffs here on Birds 365. The Eagles will take on the 49ers at home next Sunday at the Link at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, and the regular season is officially in the rearview mirror. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, my friend?
Doing well. Yeah, finally. Week 3 of preseason is over. Time to turn the page, although I'm sure there'll be plenty of complaining. And the playoffs are here. San Francisco 49ers, which I think bodes pretty well for the Eagles.
I agree, John. I don't have it in me to complain too much, man. I mean, the one thing I think that we'll obviously talk about the game yesterday as little as it does mean, they do get the 3 seed because they lost the game. If they won the game, they would have got the 2 seed given the outcome of the Bears versus the Lions. The Lions were able to win that game. So if the Eagles won, they would have gotten the 2 seed. But, John, if anybody out there appreciates at all the health of the team for the last 4 years, then I don't think you're allowed to be mad at Sirianni. Now, if you don't care about that and you've always said that they don't play enough and they should be playing more, then okay, at least you're consistent. But if you've been happy about how healthy they've been, how many players have been healthy for both Super Bowls they've been a part of, and the general health of the team, I don't think you can bash Nick Sirianni for the decision yesterday to sit people down, and they do get the 3 seed because of it.
Well, I think that's, excuse me, I got to say it again. My voice is going, so hopefully Zander can pick me up at times. But
gotta get you some throat coat, Johnny Mac. You know what throat coat is? Yeah. All right.
Well, I don't know. Don't say that. Don't clip that. But anyway, from the standpoint of complaining, because let's be honest, we have a giant complainers class around the NFL. Really, the only thing to talk about is the decision. And I get why people don't like the decision by Nick Sirianni, but that's it. Any of the game stuff, who cares? None of these players are relevant for the most part, with the exception of the few who had to play, like Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith, mainly the defensive front guys. Everybody else isn't going to play meaningful snaps unless something goes drastically wrong from an injury standpoint. So I think it's a waste of time complaining about the football part of it. So the decision part, look, I would have scoreboard watched. I would have played everybody. I would have tried to handle it that way. So I get I get looking at that and saying, all right, this is sort of a problem. I don't agree with this philosophy. And I think there's some hubris built into it. I think they look at the landscape and they say, who cares? And I don't know if I'll take it that far. So I have no problem with people who push back on wanting to play, guarantee that second game at Lincoln Financial Field. And it might be there anyway, by the way. I firmly believe that. But if it's not,
Packers could knock off the Bears.
Oh yeah. Well, last time they played them there, they were going to win the game,
right?
And Jordan Love got hurt, so things happen in the NFL. But so I get it from that standpoint. The football stuff, I mean, come on, seriously, this is like complaining about a third preseason game where all the backups play and you're upset because they get beat handily and think that matters in week 1. I mean, these guys aren't playing. Tanner McKee's not playing. Tank Bigsby isn't playing. Some people might dislike that, but they're not playing. Keely Ringo's not playing. Jacorian Bennett's not playing.
Ooh, speaking of those two guys.
They're not playing. Well, absent special teams for Keely, where he's a pretty good player and you don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, he's a great special teamer, just not can't play cornerback, I don't think.
So, I mean, the football stuff, I've already turned the page on. As far as the decision making and Nick Sirianni. Part of it is, I mean, he's got the best road record. Part of it is that hubris part, as I mentioned, and the thought that we can go out to Chicago and beat them out there, which that's fair to criticize.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much, John, and we don't know how this is gonna play out, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, which I can. I do have a propensity to do at this time of the year. If you're telling me, John, we have the 49ers, then the Bears, and then the winner of the Seahawks and the Rams, I mean, I'm taking that playoff run all day. All day. Now, I know Seattle's a tough place to play, but still, I'll play that hand. I'll play. If you told me before the year that would be your 3 playoff matchups, will you take it or leave it in the NFC? 49ers, Bears, and Rams or Seahawks? I'd take that.
Yeah, well, this is, and maybe weak is the wrong term, but this is an unproven group.
It's a good word for it.
They won the games they won. These teams, they deserve to be there. So I'm probably being a little bit harsh, but this is, and really both sides of the bracket, it's been a complete overturn of what it looked like last year. And for the NFC specifically, you look at the teams that missed the playoffs, and right now they're playing better football than the teams that made the playoffs in a lot of circumstances. Atlanta. You could argue Atlanta and New Orleans were both better than Tampa Bay and Carolina when the season ended.
Yeah.
The NFC North, you can make a strong argument that Minnesota and Detroit are playing better than Green Bay and Chicago. You can make a strong argument.
Is it that to you, is it a bad year in the league, or is it just parity driven to a bigger degree this year?
It's definitely parity driven. It's always parity driven, but it's usually not this bad. I believe, I have to double check this. I believe, I'm looking at it. I believe the Eagles are the only repeat division champions.
Wow, the full NFL?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to double check that, but I believe they are the only repeat division champions in the entire NFL. So there's a lot of upheaval, and that means new blood, new teams, which I like to a certain degree. But it also means unproven.
Only team to repeat this year.
Yeah. It means a lot of unproven teams. And if you look at the NFC side, the 3 most proven are the Eagles, the Rams, and the Packers. And the Packers have proven they lose in the first round every year.
Except for that one year, a couple years ago, they beat the crap out of the Cowboys.
Yeah. And then, man, I'm telling you. Oof. So I kind of understand Nick Sirianni's thought process, but even if you went there, yeah. The minute you start thinking you got to figure it out, though, this league will bite you in the ass. This league will humble you, as people say. That part I agree with too. And just because somebody doesn't look scary on paper, if you take them for granted, like part of the reasons I think I firmly believe they rested their players because they thought they were going to beat Washington anyway.
Right. Well, let's be real. I think they should have won that game. If they executed better, they should have won that game.
Probably should have won every game if they executed better. So it's no different.
I'm just saying, I don't think the number one reason they lost is because they played all backups. Well, I guess you could look at it like that, but I think
they're gonna win the game with their starters.
Yes, easily. They would have. But you brought up the scoreboard watching. Like, John, if you're scoreboard watching that game, this is why I agree with Nick. What, are you going to sit there and be beholden to the game where, the Lions are up 16 and then the Bears come back and then the Lions win the game? I mean, that would have been a nightmare if you're scoreboard watching that and you're like, oh, do I take the starters now? Do I put them back in? Oh, the Lions are up. The Bears have come back. Do I put the start? It's a nightmare. Let them rest. Get healthy for the playoffs. feel better for the week. And
well,
let's go.
They did it. They did it in 2023. It's possible, but it's interesting you bring that up because, if you did do that and it was 16-0, it would have worked out in your favor. But if it were 16-0 Chicago, you probably would have pulled the guys, and who knows? So from that standpoint, you're right. It would have worked out because the Lions were the ones who had the lead, and they would have kept playing. But what I will say is that the nonsense of scoreboard watching inversely, and what I mean by that is, they might win late in the game and then going, hey, there's 6 minutes left. Devontae Smith, go back in there.
Yeah.
That is just insanity. And Nick got that question, and I'm like, come on. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. I mean, that's just not. You can't. You have to make the decision. You can't go into the game to me. I think fine decision.
Guys, they finish their stretching at about 4:00 or whatever, and then they go watch a football game in freezing temperatures, and you want to risk hamstrings and soft tissue injuries, and I mean, that is, what are you going to do? Hey, Jalen was dressed, put him in there.
Yeah, come on, doesn't that just sound crazy to hear out loud?
It does.
Yeah,
I'm like,
look, I know there's a lot of people out there. I'm one of the people who was pounding the drum to get the 2 seed because I thought it was way better, but I'm good with Sirianni's decision here. I understand people who are like, they play football. Stop, let them go play football. I think people discount the level of toll that this takes on the body. 17 games. They had no back-to-back home games. I think it's better to get these guys a rest. Now, granted, you did lose the 2 seed because of it, but I'm good with Nick Sirianni's decision, and I'll take some comments in the chat if you guys disagree or what your thoughts are. Appreciate everybody being here today on a Monday morning. It's playoff time, everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We'll keep you posted wall-to-wall with wall-to-wall coverage all playoffs long. The Eagles will take on the 49ers this weekend at home in Philly, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. All right, so that's the matchup this weekend. I'll give you guys the whole playoff count or the whole playoff weekend a little bit later on in the show. John, what did you make of the game yesterday? I don't think there's too many takeaways from it, but what did you make of it? Patullo, Tanner McKee, Tank Bigsby, I thought had a nice game. A couple guys on defense really stood out to me. Especially the linebackers. I mean, I thought Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was great. I thought the front was great. And I think Jalen Hunt is just, holy mackerel. That guy's been shot out of a cannon since the second half of the year came around. What were your takeaways from the game yesterday?
Yeah, I said with Tanner was very similar to last season. Good early, not as good late as they started to figure it out. I'm with you, Jalen Hunt. What a end to the season. Leads the team in interceptions and sacks. Again, that is meaningless other than it's never happened before. But he said, a good season. Good to get Devontae over 1,000 yards for the people obsessed with statistics, I guess. I don't think it matters, but I don't take much from the football game at all, other than the depth isn't good at corner. That's pretty much it. And it's not good on the offensive line, which kind of new. But once Brett went down, Brett Toth, really, really a lot of issues. But that shouldn't have been a surprise. Matt Pryor had to play 3 different positions. Cameron Williams never played an NFL game before. So they really struggled with protection late. But, these guys aren't playing next week, so I wouldn't lose too much sleep about it.
Yeah, no. John, I don't think Patullo called a great game. I know you disagreed with me on the post-game show, but
it's not that I disagree. It's like, what it's like, the same thing about I believe me, I know I'm never going to win this argument. But I mean, people can do it themselves. They don't have to listen to me. I mean, people far smarter than me if you look up, just for your own life's sake, decision making and how do successful people make decisions. The whole point, and this harkens back to Nick Sirianni as well, making the decision that he made. The first thing you're going to read is good decisions don't guarantee good outcomes. It's the first thing, literally, in every book ever written on the subject.
Right.
Good decisions don't guarantee good outcomes. And yet 99.9% of the people in this world, I firmly believe that, believe the result indicates whether you made a good decision or a bad decision. In other words, you might go into some convenience store today and buy a lottery ticket, and you may win $1,000 or $2,000, and you say, "Oh, that was a good decision," and go do it again, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, and it never works again,
Right.
Because the odds are against you. Good decisions don't guarantee good outcomes. The same thing with football, in the essence that all 99.9% of the people focus on is a result, not a decision, a result. And I know I'm never going to win this, but I'm never going to beat it because it's insanity to me. Like, this is a good play call. This is a bad play call. And all they're looking at is the result of the play. That's it. And sometimes, guess what? You have a bad play call and you get a good result. Sometimes you have a good play call and you have a bad result.
I don't think it's that clear cut. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I do agree with the point, obviously, about decision making, but play callers can give advantages. I mean, you're going to see it this week with Kyle Shanahan coming to town. I mean, I don't think that Kevin Patullo has given that type of advantage. I mean, I'm watching dudes, John, that are former players, guys on and whatever. You don't have to trust them all or believe them all, but almost every one of them looks at the design of the play calls in this team and just says the design of this offense is awful. The
same people say, I like the concepts when they play well. The same people shouting from the same mountain saying, this is a high school offense. This is a bullshit offense. This is not, this is not a well-designed offense. The same people, if they go out and beat San Francisco and beat them handily, will say, I love the concepts. Now they're doing things well. Now, what's more likely? That they woke up one day, the dummies woke up one day and just got lucky at the convenience store with the lottery ticket. And by the way, they get lucky a lot compared to other teams. And by the way, with Kyle Shanahan, who I love, and this is not an insult to Kyle Shanahan, because I constantly say, I think he's the best play designer and play schemer in the NFL. He scored 3 fucking points last week.
Well, to your point, the results can fluctuate.
Exactly.
So if the results are going to fluctuate, whether you're a great play schemer or not, then how come you can't, have any conversation about the scheme of the offense?
You can have all the conversation you want, but all I know is that the things that you can gauge is they have more success than 90% of the people in this league. And I'm being kind because it's really like 95, 97% from a team perspective.
From a team,
obviously, they win a lot of football games. Now, do dummies have that kind of long-term success? Again, there's one team that has won back-to-back division titles.
Yeah, see, but I think we're talking about different things now. I mean, I don't disagree with the philosophy, but you're saying the scheme comes from the philosophy. I guess that's where you're tying it together.
Well, how do all the bright guys can't beat the dummies? Look, I by no means, like I said, to me, they could beat Kyle 15 straight times. I'm still gonna say Kyle's the best player. It's the same thing I said with Vic and Spag. How many times I get shit on leading up to the Super Bowl? I said, no. Vic's better than Spags. Everybody said, you're a moron. Blah, 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 blah. He's got all the Super Bowl titles. You're looking at the wrong thing. you're looking at the wrong thing. When it comes to but when you have the type of long-term sustained success of the Eagles and other teams, Kansas City, obviously for many years, and by the way, it's all cyclical. Eventually it will turn. I can't tell you when, but it will turn. But what you can't be is completely incompetent and keep winning football games week after week after week after week after week at a higher level than, again, most teams. Now, does that mean everything is perfect? Absolutely not. But the insanity of saying this is successful, so this is good, and not being able to differentiate that say, oh, the run pass ratio stuff. Why is he not running the ball? I mean, who gives a shit? I mean, was the play executed? Was the play effective? Should the play have been effective? What ruined the play? Did a block? Did Cam Williams playing his first NFL game ruin the play? Did Matt Pryor playing left guard ruin the play? Or did the play ruin the play? It could be either or. But the insanity of looking at a play call and saying, well, that was good, is nuts because I can't do it. So no offense to any average fan out there. Well, how can you do it? Number one, do you know the concept of the play? Do you know what was taught? Do you know what the design of the play is to do? Do you know if it went that way? Do you know if the quarterback gave up on it early? Do you know if the guy missed a block or didn't get to a block he was designed to get to? I mean, this is the most insane conversation to me.
Yeah, but the offensive coordinator obviously has a different job than Nick. I think we can all agree Nick has done well considering how much they've won. Do you think Kevin's done a good job with the offense this year?
I think he's done an average job with the offense. I think he's done an average job. Not great, not bad. I think
the spectrum advantage you can get from an offensive coordinator does exist, right? You can have a good offensive coordinator who gives you a bigger advantage than somebody who might not be as good and doesn't give you as much.
Sure, but I think it's overrated. Sure. I mean, if your players don't play well, I don't care who you have. That's how Kyle Shanahan can have 3 points. That's how Ben Johnson can have a shitty game.
Well, why do I hear there's so many commentators, whether it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out there or it's Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson yesterday, and the commentators continuously say, there's nobody open. Nobody gets open on this team. I mean, I hear that. Oh, Ross Tucker said that.
Look, I love Ross. I love Ross. I love all these guys, but listen.
But he said it 8 times on the game.
Listen to them on good weeks and listen to them in bad weeks. Listen to them after the good
doesn't
games.
It change? I mean, is there not any difference from week to week?
The results change, but if you're a good coach, you're pretty damn consistent. The results change, yes, they change dramatically week after week after week, and that's the problem. So the assumption is, again, going back to our original point on decision making, the assumption is a good result is the result of good decision making, or in this case, good play calling, good placing, and a bad result is the decision of a bad decision making or a bad offense. And that's where you have 1 week, this is a high school offense. The next week, I like the concepts from the same people, from the same exact people. And I don't care who your favorite is. Go back and listen to him after a good game and go back and listen to him after a bad game. Which is more likely? Look, if you read the weather forecast and it says chance of rain and it's cloudy and you grab your umbrella going out the door and you got to lug that thing around everywhere you're going and it doesn't rain, did you make a bad decision? No, you got a bad result. You didn't make a bad decision because usually in those circumstances, it's going to rain.
That's different than schematics, though. I mean,
Of course, it's different than schematics. It's the point of people's obsession with results. And that's why Nick Sirianni talked about his stupid process. And that's why successful people talk about their stupid process, because they understand you're not always going to get the best outcome, because that's reliant on other things out of your control. In this case, it was obvious. In Nick's case, the Chicago game was out of his control. So he made the decision he made.
Right.
There are outliers in the case of play calling. Again, the outliers are different in scheme, but it comes down to execution. But nobody wants to talk about execution because that's boring.
Well,
but if the left guard misses a block, you could have the best play call on in the history of the world, and it ain't working.
Right.
And you'll never know about it because the result is shitty. And by the way, it works the other way as well. Sometimes you have the wrong play call. Sometimes you get caught. And sometimes a player picks you up by making a great play.
Fair
and
enough.
Everybody says, wow, that's great.
All right, John, we got Jeff Kerr coming up. Before I go to Jeff, I got to ask you this because I'm going to clip this open and I want people to get your take on it real quick. Your early thoughts on the 49ers coming to town, John. That's the wild card matchup. Eagles versus Niners at home. Kyle Shanahan versus Vic Fangio, I think, is an awesome matchup. The 49ers have been pretty hot lately. They did lose on Saturday night to the Seattle Seahawks, who shut them out pretty good. The final in that game was 13-3. What's your early thoughts, John, on the Eagles' first-round playoff matchup versus the 49ers?
Yeah, I think they match up well with the 49ers. Look, this is a team that I got right. I predicted them to be back in the playoffs because they had the fourth place schedule. They had a lot of injuries last year. And I thought they'd be right back in the playoffs. And here we are, and they're right back in the playoffs. Now, unfortunately for them, they've had another injury-plagued season. And by the way, significant injuries from the standpoint of some of their best players, specifically defensively. You know, if they had Nick Bosa coming into this game, if they had Fred Warner coming into this game, I think it would be a much tougher matchup. But they don't. And they can't rush the quarterback. They struggle from that perspective. Now, Trent Williams should be back. Ricky Pearsall should be back. They got a pretty good offense, as we mentioned. Kyle Shanahan's the best in the business, but I do think that's strength versus strength. I do think the Eagles are capable of making them work for things, at least so much more than most teams. And then you have the West Coast team coming east on top of it. Yeah, I don't think it's a good situation for the San Francisco 49ers, mainly defensively. I mean, their best pass rusher right now is Bryce Huff. You know, and I think people were too hard on Bryce Huff here, but he ain't Nick Bosa.
No, he's not a marquee number one, that's for sure. Good stuff, John. Appreciate everybody being here today. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'll get to all super chats coming up a little bit later on in the show. We got Jeff Kerr set to join us right now here on Birds 365 as we now prepare for playoff football, everybody. Let's go to Jeff Kerr right now. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr PHL. Jeff, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Monday morning?
Probably better than Nick Sirianni is.
You know, Jeff.
Did you like the decision, Jeff? I guess not.
Yeah.
Look, I wasn't a fan of it when they made it, but I understood why they made it, and I said I'm not going off the result. But that's the whole mother to the son, I told you so type of thing. I just felt the Lions were going to beat the Bear. But again, you can't control that. So
right.
it is what it is. My big thing was I don't think people understand how important it was to have two games at Lincoln Financial Field compared to one. But it is what it is. They made the decision, and I hope they don't reap what they sow.
That's a fair point. I didn't have a problem with it, Jeff, because to me, I've been happy with the way that they've been so healthy. And I think when you have a 4-year sample,
I agree with that.
When you're so healthy, it's not just luck. I mean, there's some luck involved, don't get me wrong, but they've made good decisions on health. And, you know, with things being out of your control, there's no chance at the 1 seed. If you had a chance for a 1 seed and get a rest, I think completely different decision. No chance for rest.
I tried saying this too on X today. For once, things did not go their way. Last
it
year
does. That's another thing. They're probably used to it.
Yeah, last year things went their way. They were the 2 seed, and I constantly said on here, I don't think that team could go into Detroit and beat them. Well, guess what? Never happened. And Mike Tomlin said last. If my aunt had the body parts, she'd be my uncle.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's just the way it is. But I always look at it as, okay, if you're the 2 seed, you're guaranteed 2 home games no matter what. You haven't lost a playoff game in Lincoln Financial Field since Chip Kelly was head coach back in 2013. I thought that was a big thing. I think playing in Philadelphia in the cold is a thing. And, we see.
By the way, it's not going to be that cold, at least early this week.
No, at least early. So,
50.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are wetter. But that was like my thing. And if somehow the Seahawks lose at home, which is possible. I mean, I didn't think Detroit was going to lose at home last year, and they did.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Seattle's a difficult place to play, but I think they have a better chance to be knocked off than Detroit did last year, and Detroit got knocked off.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at their path. I'm like, can they beat Chicago? And Chicago, absolutely. But
oh yeah, I'd be stunned if they don't beat Chicago. Yeah, I'd be stunned.
And I mean, who knows if Chicago's going to beat Green Bay? Yeah,
I know.
Jordan,
people forget. The Packers limped to the finish line, but people forget Jordan Love hasn't been playing. They completely shut it down to get to the playoffs because they knew they weren't going anywhere from the 7th seed. So now Jordan Love's going to walk in there completely healthy. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me they can't beat the Bears?
That's going to be a janky game. I think that game. I think the Packers could win that game.
But whether I think Nick is right or wrong on this, I personally think he deserves the benefit of the doubt because of his track record and his success here. So if that was his decision, fine. But again, sometimes you reap what you sow.
I have no problem with people upset at his decision. I think everything else about that football game is meaningless. I'm like, I can't. Like, why are people getting so upset about whether it's Tanner McKee or not giving the ball to Tank Bigsby, or obviously I know they don't like Kevin. Who cares about this game? None of these guys are playing next week.
I really think people overestimated the Eagles' backups. That was the most arrogant thing I heard all week. The Eagles' backups can beat the Commanders. I'm like, they get paid too, and some of those guys on that team are pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's very arrogant. I mean, but I think the Eagles in-house believed that they were going to beat them either way. With Josh Johnson. I think it would have shifted.
I mean, I thought they made some bad mental mistakes. I mean, that Darius Cooper, penalty at the goal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, Tanner McKee, the interception after that. They were on the 1-yard line. They could have pounded that ball right in, and that was a different outcome in the game.
It doesn't surprise me when guys who don't play have penalties. I mean, that's going to happen. That's going to be baked into it. But
boy, that secondary was really bad yesterday.
They did have 120 plus yards of penalty yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty
most of it from the secondary. I mean,
the arrogance too of only Washington can get yards off penalties. I'm like, yes, because the Eagles cornerbacks and safeties are getting beat that badly.
And they're reaching and grabbing, and they're so panicky. I mean, that's the exact thing you don't want. And I don't know on the game-winning touchdown. I don't know what Kaylee Ringo was doing. Quarterback's running for the goal, and he turns his back on him. I don't know, but I'm sure Vic wasn't happy about that.
Kaylee Ringo had a post on Instagram too about it, or a story. He said, "Love you all," and had the laughing emoji, I think, or whatever it was, or love you too, or something like that. I forget.
Well, I'm sure he's getting tons of shit. I don't blame players. Look, he made a mistake. I mean,
it happens. Yeah. He's still a good gunner.
Yeah,
not a very good special teams player. Very good special teams player. But yeah, I mean, they don't, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean are going to be out there. And Adoree Jackson. Now people realize that Dory's not as bad as they think he is. But they're playing against the 49ers, not Jacorian Bennett and Kaylee Ringo.
I'll fire one back too, John. Tanner McKee's not as good as they think he is either.
Well, yeah. that was
which I could
always
have
the
said
case.
that weeks ago, but
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing with Tanner. I don't even think he was that bad. I'm not going to sit here and
I
say
don't think he's the bad backup at all.
No,
I
but
think
I
he's a
mean,
good
I
backup.
don't think he is either.
Yeah, but Jeff, if we were coming into an Eagles game, and this would never happen, but if we were, and Jalen Hurts was set to go, and they had no AJ, no Devontae, they had no Dallas, they had no Saquon, they had no Lane, no Mailata, no Jurgens, no Dickerson, and no Steen. What would have been your expectation for the offense in that game?
I mean, not good, but again,
right?
Tanner's played with these guys all year. That's all I'm trying to say.
They're not as good of players, so it's not. I mean, you can play with them all year. If you're not as good as the NFL level players in the field, then you're just not as good.
Well, yeah, Tanner would be better playing with the starters. Yeah, I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think he played amazing. I really don't. But I think people are being a little hard on him. Acting like
if Tanner had to come into a game for Jalen, or if Tanner had to start with the starters, he can win a football game for you, and that's his job. But I was just tired of hearing this offense would be so much better with Tanner McKee. And Jalen Hurts is the problem with this team. That is ludicrous. And you saw it yesterday. You saw missed throws. You saw bad decision making. Look, I don't even blame the coaching staff. Like, Tanner McKee really should be rolling. And see, this is what happens when you have no interior pressure on a quarterback that can't move.
I didn't understand the rolling out either, Jeff. I'm like, this dude is like.
Well, I think he's a young quarterback who flushes naturally, as they most do.
Most of them do.
That's what they do. They don't climb; they flush. And when you flush, usually you're flushing the play down the toilet. If you don't have mobility,
there are a lot of plays that were flushed down the toilet yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what young quarterbacks do. They flush. That's why you teach them to climb the pocket, try to manipulate the. Yeah. Unless you're, a dual threat, unless you're Jalen Hurts, unless you're Caleb Williams, and when you're rolling right, which is a shitty decision, but you can make a play out of your ass, In
the fourth quarter yesterday, by the way, I was really hoping the Bears would just come back and win, so Nick could just be like, "See, I made the right decision."
Well, the Bears had every chance to come back and win that game.
They did.
Yeah, they squandered it.
By the way, Ben Johnson's out there. We play our players. Man.
Yeah, how about that quote?
Ben's a great offensive mind, but be careful what you wish for with all this stuff.
Honestly, that's kind of embarrassing. You played your players and you were shut out going in the fourth quarter against a team that had nothing to play for?
Well, we had high school concepts for 1 week, Jeff. Now, if he plays well next week, he'll be fine.
But don't you guys think his decision wasn't bad? I mean, if they won, they got the 2 seed. To me, that wasn't a bad decision.
No, I would have played my guy
because he had more control over his fate than the Eagles did.
I'm not criticizing him at all. I would have criticized him for sitting his guys. I'm just saying, maybe tone it down with the Dan Campbell-esque declarations we play.
Yeah, you didn't hear Sean McVay do that this week. He just said, "Hey, look, we're playing the starters."
Yeah, that's fine.
And they had something to play for. Look, who would you rather play in round one, the Eagles or the Panthers?
Yeah, no doubt. Jeff, what'd you make of Patullo yesterday? Me and John were just debating a little bit back and forth on. I'm curious your opinion of it. I thought another different quarterback. I don't really see the advantage the Eagles are getting with him as an offensive play caller. I understand where John was going with what he was saying. How do you see Kevin Patullo, and did you have any takeaways from his game yesterday or the way he called the game?
Look, I just don't put too much stock in yesterday at all outside of the talent that they have. The backups on their offensive line are not very good.
Yeah, they're not. No,
and when you're going against Deron Payne and guys like that, you're probably going to have your issues more often than not. So I thought they should have ran the ball more. Obviously, I think we all can agree on that. But for some reason, no one got a carry in the fourth quarter. I don't know if that was just part of the game plan. I'd like to hear Nick's philosophy on that, John. Was that asked yesterday? I don't remember that being asked.
I know. It was not. It was not.
Yeah, so maybe it's asked. I don't know. I think this kid's kind of flushing down the toilet.
I don't think it's going to be asked.
I don't think it is either. I wouldn't ask it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what their goal was? I mean, maybe they just want to evaluate Tanner McKee. I don't know. I just don't think
dropping back 44 times is.
Yeah, I mean, and then the other part is like I think I saw a stat, and Jeff, you'll probably know this because you're great with stats. some sort of stat about what Tank Bigsby was averaging, and then the final, what was it, 17 minutes of the game, they don't give Tank Bigsby one touch. I don't know. I just don't understand that type of stuff, how you go completely bail on something like that, but whatever. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Their last carry was the Will Shipley run in the third quarter. But again, I'm just saying, I'm flushing this game down the toilet. It was such a bad football game.
I can't. We're talking about run-pass ratio and meaningless.
Boy, did the fans get jobbed yesterday.
It's about the feel for the game. Is the play caller making the good have a good feel for the game?
I believe Tanner McKee threw it 40 times in Week 18 last year.
He did.
Is that because Kellen had a feel for the game? No, they won the game, so it was successful. Yeah. He was good in the first half.
They barely won that game too. I remember the Giants came back in that.
He was very good in the first half. He was very poor in the second half. It's almost like a freaking carbon copy, except one game they won and one game they lost.
John, I was upset with your boy Will Shipley in the past game. That was a bad drop.
That was a bad drop.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's again, is that nice little angle route, easy gain. Player drops the ball, doesn't drop it, just goes right through.
I know he's had limited opportunities this year, but man, I thought Will Shipley was
he's not taking the bull by the horns, as they say, which is why they went out and got
Dank Bigsby.
But the problem is Dank can't play on third down, so they don't have a third down back. They could have had a third down back. He's out in Pittsburgh, but I digress. And who knows? Maybe Kenny Gainwell wanted a bigger role, so maybe one was going to leave anyway.
Boy, he was a sitting duck at halftime last night when he got that pitch. I'm like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah, that was, but they got that. That was an exciting game, by the way.
That game was awesome.
Yeah, the fourth quarter of that game was crazy. I feel bad for Tyler Loop, but hey, man, oof. That's a bad miss.
Unfortunately, I know.
That is a really difficult place to kick. I'm like, boy, they're too conservative here because Chris Boswell missed an extra point in that game, and Pittsburgh is a shit show for kickers, and that's why one of the reasons why Boswell is who he is, and he's been an all.
He was an all-pro last year.
Yeah, because it's so difficult to kick there. And I don't know if you saw the missed extra point, but that thing was straight down the middle and then just zipped outside.
Yeah, right.
And you're just going, we're at 45 for Tyler Loop.
Boswell, I think a couple of people interviewed Boswell after the game, and he said when he kicked it, he thought he made it at first.
Yeah. Well, it was right down the middle.
Yeah, and you're right. It just tailed. And
which is wild on an extra point. It's one thing if it tails on a 50-yarder. To tail on an extra point is, obviously it shows.
He probably hit it too hard, but.
I had someone argue with me on Twitter last night that I said Tyler Loop's kick was wide right, and someone said it wasn't. I'm like, you don't know what wide right is then.
Yeah, that's the. Yeah.
Well, what else would it be?
I'm like, go look up Scott Norwood sometime.
Wow. People, if they look at it from the perspective of the defense, it's wide left. That's what they're looking at, but that's not how you do it. So
that's not how you do it.
You say, all right, Skippy, tap him on the head and say, this guy has no freaking idea and move on. I mean, it's wide right. It's wide right.
Jeff, what's your thought on early thought Eagles 49ers in Philly next week? What's your early thought on that playoff matchup for the Birds?
I think it's a very favorable matchup for the Eagles. I think we've talked about that too. Like if you had to pick who the Eagles are, personally, and look, I think the Packers are a much better team than people are giving them credit for. I thought the Eagles could beat them at home. I just think if you had to pick between the 49ers and the Rams, I think you want the 49ers at this point. I still think the path to at least get to the NFC Championship game for the Eagles is, I don't want to say easy because I really don't know what to expect out of the NFC, but I think 49ers Bears might be your best path.
Yeah.
A good outcome for you if everything goes chalk.
Jeff, if that's how it turns out, that would be
I'm already predicting the Packers upset the Bears and you get two home games anyway.
And then this discussion we're all going to laugh at next week.
Wait, if that happened though, John, it's funny you say that. I almost feel as though I know you have to go on the road. I almost feel as though it'd be better for the Eagles if the Bears won, because if the Packers win, then you're most likely going to play the Rams, right? Because the one seed would play the second. So you'd play the Rams. While it being at home, who would you rather face? The Rams at home or the Rams at home or the Bears on the road?
Bears.
Yeah, I think I'd take Bears on the road. But we do have to remember the Panthers did beat the Rams this year. I don't know how, but they did it.
And the Bears beat the Eagles this year.
That's how they won the division. The Panthers beat the Rams.
I don't believe in the Bears a little bit. Even a little bit.
They feel like the Commanders, don't they?
Well,
they feel like a worse version of the Commanders. And by the way, I didn't believe in the Commanders a little bit when they came here for the NFC Championship game. I think
you and I were kind of laughing at that, saying,
they were not ready for that spot. The Bears are not ready for this spot.
The Packers have all the experience.
Jeff, this is the number one thing that I think is the factor for me. In any playoff game the Eagles will have this year. You tell me if I'm off base or if you agree. I'm looking at who matches up best from the other team's perspective with the Eagles defense. Who's going to be the most capable to make the Eagles defense or score some points on the Eagles defense? There's bad defenses. The Bears defense isn't great. The Niners defense isn't great. But I don't really think we take advantage of bad defenses, good or bad defenses. Our output on offense is probably going to be our output on offense. To me, it's what team can score points on the Vic Fangio defense, because not many have. I mean, since week 10, I think you put out this stat. It's 14.5 points a game with the starters?
Yeah. It went up a little bit, obviously, but they were playing the backups. Yes,
right. So with the starters, it was 14.5. That's how I'm seeing the playoff games, which is why originally I didn't love the 49ers as a matchup, because I said, hey, Kyle might be able to score. Now, the Seahawks game on Saturday night kind of changed my perspective a little bit. The Seahawks completely shut that offense out. You think I'm looking at it the right way, or how do you kind of look at it?
I mean, look, if you're looking from the offensive standpoint, Xander, I don't think you want to face the Rams offense. But if you're ranking the offenses in the NFC in terms of who the Eagles would face, probably go Rams first.
Yeah, definitely.
Who would be second? Seahawks?
I don't know.
Offense. Yeah, I don't.
They weren't great in versus the Niners the other night. I mean,
no, but you got to remember, divisional matchup, they usually struggle against 49ers defense no matter who's on their field. But they ran the ball. But look, that drive where they basically took 11 off the clock, I know they didn't get anything out of it, but you took 11 minutes off the clock off anybody is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's what the Eagles used to do. I don't know. Any chance the Eagles can get their run game going?
You would hope.
Because to me, that's the only difference between this year and last year. They can't run the football consistently.
I think last year's team would have demolished this playoff field.
Oh, I agree.
Oh,
this year,
more so than they did last year when they scored 157 points or whatever the heck it was.
It's kind of crazy. Last year's team, I didn't think they were the best team in the NFC until the Lions lost.
No, yeah. Last year's group was much more difficult on paper than this year's group. And maybe it'll work out differently. But yeah, if they could run the football, I would book your tickets for Santa Clara. I'll say that. But they can't run the ball. So I don't know if that's changing. I don't know if Cam Jurgens is getting healthy in a week and Landon Dickerson's getting healthy in a week. But if they can run the ball, they're going to the Super Bowl. I just see no evidence that they can run the ball efficiently from week to week to week to week. Haven't seen it. Can they just pick it up in the playoffs? I don't know.
The interior of their offensive line has just been a problem all year with injuries, and they're just not as deep. And could rear its ugly head again. It's really hurt Saquon. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, John.
The offense does, to your point, Jeff, the offense, especially with that O-line, it does feel, and it doesn't mean it's going to come true, but it does feel at times like a ticking time bomb where you're not scoring a lot. And if somebody gets this defense, kind of like the Bears did, where they were able to run the ball, the Eagles don't score enough points. So that would be the fear, is that if the offense does what it's done most of the year this year and is stagnant, does a team get you? Do you get got? I think that's the reasonable.
Yeah.
That would be the only way I think the Eagles would lose this game.
That's how I feel like the Eagles are just going to beat themselves if they lose, where it's Jake Elliott missing a kick, or they just have these spurts on offense where they don't do anything. I mean, I put up the numbers last night of their offense this year with the stats I find valuable, and they're middle of the pack, and I'm being generous on that. So it's a big difference compared to last year. Last year they were top 10. Now last year's offense I thought was clicking more, and Saquon had his historic season, and Mekhi Becton was at right guard, and guys are healthier. But I mean, look, when you play what is it, John? They played 21 games last year, so you played 38 games over the last 16 months. It takes its toll.
And they've played 9 playoff games in the last 4 years. I mean, that's that.
Yeah.
If they play another 3 this year, 4 this year.
Yeah. That's a narrative I'm getting tired
an
of.
extra season, guys. I mean, that's a lot of extra games.
Oh, yeah. But I'm going to go on a little sidetrack here. That's a narrative I got tired of hearing, too. Well, the Eagles playoff games on the road, you really can't count that. What do you mean you can't count them? Oh, this guy didn't play. That guy didn't play. I'm like, oh, then the other team had everybody healthy? Come on. Like, they lost playoff games on the road. They have not won a road playoff game under Nick Sirianni. It's just a fact. It could change.
They don't have one playoff road win?
No. They have a neutral win, the Super Bowl, and they had
the number one seed.
Jalen is 6-3 in the postseason. All of those except for the Super Bowl have been at.
Yeah, he lost in Tampa twice.
Right.
Yeah, lost in Tampa twice. So, but again, I still think they can go to Chicago and win a football game.
Yeah. Well, I look at it differently. Tampa was better. Flat out better in 20.
Both times.
Yeah. Well, the second time was injury related. I thought affected it more for the Eagles because they lost AJ and Breed, and Lane Johnson didn't play. So I do think
wasn't Jalen hurt?
Jalen hurt his finger. Yeah, and against the Giants. So they were banged up. The second one, I don't know if the Bucs were better. They destroyed them, but the Eagles were in the collapse. That was the collapse year. But the first year, the Bucs were just flat out better.
Yeah, the Bucs were a Super Bowl team, essentially. Yeah. The Eagles played that 1:00 game on a Sunday. I'm like, hey, the Bucs are going to kill this team.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where the Eagles weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for it.
And that's what we're saying about the Bears.
Yeah.
Well, we got the Niners. I mean, are the Niners ready for it? I do think. Look, I know Saturday's game, changed people's minds, but that Niners team was humming, man. But before that game, the offense was rolling. Brock Purdy was playing some of the best ball I've seen him play. I mean, Kittle and McCaffrey are obviously great players. I don't think it's the same with those guys as it is with the Bears. What do you think?
They're much more proven. But to the point,
Niners better hope they have Trent Williams on Sunday.
Yeah, and they will, because they said he might have played if it were Sunday this week. So, he'll play, and it will make a big difference, and they'll be better. And Ricky Pearsall will play too, so they'll be better. But the defense, man. Oof.
Oh, yeah, that defense. Eagles got to score points off this defense.
Yeah.
Seahawks struggled to score points. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone. Sal's a good coordinator. He doesn't have the guys, but I think situationally he'll try and make some calls. Will they work? Let's see. But
John, your boy is in a stat on his own with Tom Brady.
Yeah, Sam.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought I thought there were 4. I had heard there were 5. That 5 might be 13.
Well, it's 13. It's 14 with Brady.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, I saw it too, but I also saw what John saw. So I didn't know.
So it was 13. So there's only 5 that have won 13 consecutive years, and that's Brady, Manning, Rodgers, and Favre, and Sam Darnold. And there's only 2 to win 14 straight. With Tom Brady, but he can't play quarterback. Can't
Sam
play.
Darnold a winner like we do everybody else. Those guys are winners.
No, he can't play. I'm told he can't play, Jeff.
I think he can play.
He can play. The question is, will he handle the pressurized moments? Good. That's the question on Sam. It's not that can he play. He can obviously play.
Well,
will he handle
I hear that now because people have to change the goalpost. I had heard for many years that he can't play because he was limited, by his.
I think it was that people say he turned to a pumpkin because he did in the big pressure moments. And until week 18 this year, that's kind of was true.
Well, did you hear the Eagles slam on it? Oh, we praise this guy for having only 13 points and 120 passing yards, and we don't praise Jalen. God, why does everything have to be about Jalen?
Everything's about the Eagles. Everything's about Jalen. Everything's got to be so construct. It's one way. In the most contextual game in the NFL. People wonder why
I have a good friend that used to be a sports writer. He's not anymore, and he made this public on Twitter. I don't know if people caught it or not, but he said, man, sports fans have really gotten stupider on this app over the last 3 years.
Well, more stupid. If you're going to call people out for being stupid, I'll have to correct your grammar. I don't know if stupid.
Thank you. Yeah. More. He put stupid. He put stupider, but yes, more stupid. More stupid is the correct grammar.
I'm not a grammar police type of guy, but I had to.
No. I think it's fair to be a grammar police type of guy because I can do it at times.
Well, here's the thing about the NFL. I don't care who your favorite player is. I don't care who your favorite team is. That player and that team is going to have bad moments. Period. End of sentence. So to sit there and say certain so sucks because he has a bad game, or this team sucks because they have a bad game, or this coach sucks because they look, if you're to the point about offense, because we're talking about the offense, I say all the time, Kyle's number one. Ben Johnson's probably number two. Kyle's team didn't do shit this week. Doesn't mean he's bad. Ben Johnson's team was abysmal in that first half. Doesn't mean he's bad.
It does happen.
This league, and I forget who said it last week, but plenty of coaches have said it. Plenty of players have said it.
Breaking news, folks. Stefanski just got fired.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
This league will freaking humble you, as they just did to Kevin Stefanski.
Boy, is he going to be – he might be pretty coveted out there, isn't he?
I think Kevin Stefanski's going to get a job really quick.
Yeah, if he wants
to. Like a coach job, you think? Probably, right?
There's a lot of talk that, by the way, if the Packers lose, that Matt LaFleur might be out and Kevin Stefanski might be in there.
That's a good fit for the Packers. I expect Pete Carroll to get fired today too, by the way.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Well, or retire. I hope for Pete he just retires.
Yeah. Boy, that's going to be one of those in 20 years from now. We're going to be like, man, Pete Carroll coached the Raiders. Why did he do that?
Yeah. Well, why did the Raiders hire him? I mean, he's 74, whatever he is. I mean, he's very energetic.
Well, they wanted to rebuild and get things on the right track.
Yeah, you know what? I actually see it like Jeff. I mean, I think it's more of a why did Pete Carroll do that? The Raiders, it makes sense. You're trying to get a good coach who can change your culture around.
Well, then you're just looking for a new coach in 2 years. That's why the Falcons didn't hire Belichick. They're like, we really want to be doing this in 2 years down there, and they're doing it 2 years down the road anyway.
2 years anyway, and they have a bad cap situation. They don't have a quarterback, and the roster's not very good. And the irony is that they would have beat the Jets in Week 13. They'd be in the playoffs.
Oh, they would be in the playoffs if they played their best quarterback. There's another guy. Again, he's not going to win the Super Bowl, but the Atlanta Falcons win that division easily if they play Kirk Cousins at quarterback.
Correct. But
how about the Atlanta guy? Guys, Atlanta didn't even let Raheem Morris get the Black Monday. That guy was gone the minute that game ended.
Well, you got to remember, too, they were eliminated from the playoffs 4 weeks ago. So they had plenty of time to make this decision.
Right. So they probably made it, obviously. But, yeah, normally people get the Black Monday. He did not. Who else do you guys think will go today? Will Gannon go?
I heard Gannon's going to stay.
I think he's going to stay, and they're going to fire their coordinator.
I've actually heard this from somebody that the Cardinals truly believe their roster is just that bad.
It's not good. I don't know.
So Jets are keeping Aaron Glenn, I guess.
They shouldn't.
There's no way.
That's a joke.
No way.
How are you a defensive back? By the way, a really good defensive back. You were a good defensive coordinator, and you're a defensive-minded head coach, and your team doesn't get a pick the entire season.
First time ever, right? It's the first time that's ever happened. That's insane. So the Jets will keep him. What about the Dolphins? Will they fire their coach?
I think McDaniel stays.
All right. Browns just fired their coach. What about Zach Taylor?
I think he stays. But I didn't like what he said about Garrett yesterday. That bothers me.
What did he say?
That guy's an idiot.
Oh, he didn't like how they stopped the game for Garrett breaking that record. Oh, by the way, that was another.
No, he said, wait, get it right. He said, we're coaching for our lives out here. Dude, you're 6-10. What the F are you talking about, dude? You're not coaching.
You can't coach when Joe Burrow's not your quarterback. That
was a joke. Titans, they already fired their coach. Yeah. Raiders, you guys mentioned. Obviously, Andy Reid's not going anywhere. They finish up 6-11.
We're coaching for our lives.
Speaking of moving goalposts here, guys, how about people just criticizing Myles Garrett on getting that sack record? Man, I am so disgusted with social media.
I didn't even say who criticized it.
So Michael Strahan did, and I pointed out that Garrett had 130 fewer snaps. Everyone was, well, Garrett could get taken off the field and Strahan. Well, yes, the era was different. Oh, and let's hear what Al Baker thinks. Well, yeah, I'd love to hear what Al Baker thinks too, but sacks were not an official stat when Al Baker had 23.
Well, Myles Garrett did it in like 300 less snaps, didn't he?
It was 130.
130 less.
I maintain. Look, I love Myles, but who gives a shit? That's I could tell you what Zach Taylor from a stupid comment was probably like. As a coach, he's probably like, all right, great, let's get on with the game. Now he should know better. He should say, all right, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a stupid mentality because the league is the reason that these guys can make millions of dollars.
Yeah, I'm just telling you how coaches think. Coaches are like, again, I bring this up all the time. Not the best stat in the world, sacks. They're like,
I get it, but there still has to be some depth from a coach to understand what goes.
Well, he should understand the moment, but I'm like, from a coaching perspective, I get it. They're like, all right, who gives a shit?
All right. Well, if he doesn't want anything but to celebrate, then he can go coach high school football on Friday nights, and there won't be a big media.
I'm saying they're weirdos. Coaches are weirdos. I'm just saying they're very hyper focused on their jobs, but. Yeah, I mean, I had this discussion with Brooks Cabina from The Athletic, because Brooks is a big stat guy. I'm like, it's the least statistical sport in the world. It's so fucking contextual. And we're all sitting here arguing about 1,000 yards and 23 sacks. It's like, who cares? From the coach's perspective. Now, from the player's perspective, the problem I always bring up, the business end is not on the same page as the football end. The football end's trying to teach discipline and selflessness and fun, and you pay guys based on hitting these numbers, so it doesn't make sense. But that's an NFL problem. Why do they run 1,000 yards? They won 1,000 yards because they get more money for 1,000 yards.
It does look better when you're. Look, I'll say it when. 9 1,000-yard season looks better than 10 1,000-yard season. I mean, 10 1,000-yard season looks better than 9 1,000-yard seasons at the end of the day when you're trying to make a Hall of Fame case. Yeah, it does.
Wait, guys, is that it for NFC firings? I mean, Saints obviously no. No, Saints are firing. North, NFC East. I think they should have. Well, the Giants.
LaFleur's a sleeper pick because they changed presidents. I'm telling you.
What John said,
they didn't give them an extension. I'm telling you, if they lose again in the first round, there's always a surprise. Always a surprise.
Does Steelers get rid of Tomlin, even if they lose next week?
No.
Baltimore might get rid of Harbaugh. They could.
I think Harbaugh's gone. I think Harbaugh leaves on his own.
There's some talk that Mike wants out because he's sick of it. So
I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to change the scenery.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if John Harbaugh and the Ravens just mutually parted ways, agreed to part ways, and John says, "I'm ready to take a year off, or B, just try somewhere else."
By the way, Harbaugh and Tomlin, that makes sense. I don't think you're just going to come out and fire.
Do we really think Lamar's back? I don't know. Something was off.
Something was off.
I think Lamar's best days.
I did not like Lamar tweeting.
He's good in that fourth quarter.
Tonight. He was. He averaged 21.4 yards per attempt. That is insane.
A quarter is not going to get the job done, folks. It's the whole season. I think Lamar's best days are behind him. I do.
Ed Policy is taking over the Packers.
That's right. It's Ed Policy.
Yeah. And their contracts, his father, for those who know the NFL a long time, is Carmen Policy, who ran the 49ers back in the days. But so a lot of nepotism in the NFL. But anyway,
shocker.
2026, both the GM Brian Gutekunst and LaFleur contracts are up. He said he's not a lame duck guy. He doesn't want guys to be lame ducks. So he's either got to work out an extension with them or he wants them out. And there's a lot of thought that if they lose, he wants them out. So don't just dismiss that.
And there are a lot of Packers, I don't want to say media, I don't want to say fans, but there's a lot of people in there that are not happy they're the 7th seed every year.
Yeah. And with Stefanski out there, evidently, there's smoke. I don't think it's fire unless they lose, but there's smoke.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you're wrong, John. I'm just
wasn't Stefanski there at one point? I'm trying to remember.
The North is really good though. That's not LaFleur's fault. There was two teams. Well, two teams had more than 14 or more wins.
But when you make that trade for Micah Parsons, I know he got hurt, but when you make that trade, you're supposed to be better than those teams.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got to do with he just doesn't like them. So
yeah, that's true too.
When the guy in charge doesn't like you,
remember, Zander, if you don't like us, you can get rid of us.
That's true. But I mean, if you're successful, then you could argue it's not a good move. But let's see. We'll see what happens there. I think that's interesting, though. People are calling for Stefanski to Philly in the chat. Hey, guys, I got news for you. That guy will be hired way before the Eagles are in the market looking for him.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also, he's not going to be getting fired.
He's not going to be a coordinator. Yeah. They think he's coming as a coordinator. He's not.
No, he ain't coming as a coordinator either.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's going to, even if he has to sit out a year, he's going to.
Kevin Stefanski to the Giants? Do you think the Giants take a look at him?
They should. They're a terrible organization, so probably not.
I the Giants kept that GM. I mean, what why? How are you keeping them?
Because they're a terrible organization.
It's a joke. It's a joke. They fired the coach and kept the GM. Like the GM has done a better job than the coach.
I think the Falcons are a shit show, but I think they did the right thing. Fire the GM, fire the coach, and yeah, we got a bad roster. But
I think Howie broke some owners because the Eagles kept Howie around for multiple coaches. I think 3 now, and it's worked out. These other
Howie was even kicked to the back of the NovaCare complex.
You got to be as good as Howie to get that deference.
I
got news for you. You're shown you're not as good as Howie. Sorry.
I would have loved to cover the Eagles in 2015, the year Chip ostracized Howie. That would have been fun.
Yeah, I was on the fringe. I was here full time 2016, but I was here occasionally. I would go down. Yeah, that was a shit show. I mean, just that to me is Jeffrey Lurie's biggest mistake. His decision for basically giving Chip Kelly control of football operations. Well, we got to see what we have. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I mean, make a decision. You trust one guy and you don't trust another guy. Can you imagine, Howie, if somebody would have been smart enough to recognize and offered him a job, he would have left.
Yeah.
He would have left.
But I think the reputation on Howie Roseman was a lot different back then.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said it would have taken somebody smart enough to realize what was going on. But, boy, that was a bad decision by Jeffrey Lurie.
Howie still was getting slammed for the draft picks and the dream team and everything else. Yeah.
He was one of the most hated people in Philadelphia. People hated him.
They couldn't stand him. Yeah. And you know who else they couldn't stand at that time? Jason Kelsey.
Yep. Jason thought he was out. Yeah.
Lane wasn't well like that. Lane wasn't well like that either because he was getting the suspensions.
There's a lot of revisionist history. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But Howie, now Jeffrey gave him a raise, which I found interesting, and a title bump when he kicked him to the other side. So he's, keeping the insurance policy, and he let him travel. He went to talk to. That's when he went to all the different GMs of successful organizations. He talked to.
He went to John Snyder, I think.
He went to guys from other sports. He went to R.C. Buford. He went to Brian Cashman. He went to whoever's running Manchester United at the time. He was traveling all over the world, picking people's brains. It's like a vacation. And he came back as a different guy. And the funny thing, when he came back, he was not the GM. They gave him some bullshit vice president
of football operations.
And they were going to bring in a personnel guy, and they were going to work in concert. Eventually, they brought in Joe Douglas. But it was hilarious because, it wasn't a very popular move to go back to Howie Roseman at that time because he was considered a failure.
Yeah, right.
And it was laughable when they hired Doug.
And Jeffrey sort of just went by osmosis. He just put him in the position and then never talked about it again. And it just sort of developed, and he took over the team again.
Well, Howie deserves credit too. I mean, he really has corrected a lot of what he did wrong.
Well, that's why he was picking people's brains to figure out what he did wrong.
I mean, Howie used to get a lot of square pegs and round holes. Like he would sign Colin Jenkins, or Evan Mathis was a good sign. He was very good at the value signings, like the Evan Mathises of the world. But like he would sign like the Colin Jenkins and the Namni Asamoahs. And I remember they signed Namni. I'm just thinking, man, he's a good player, but does he fit what Sean McDermott's doing? I don't know. Well, it wasn't McDermott at the time. It was Castillo. I didn't know what Castillo was doing.
Here's a hypothetical for you, because we just played one on the Packers. If the Eagles get bounced in the wild card round this weekend versus the 49ers, Kevin Patullo's fate is what? Jeff, start with you. Fired or retained?
I think they just want to keep continuity, so I think they retain him.
John?
It depends what it looks like. If they lose and play very poorly offensively, he's out. He will be the scapegoat. It's far more trickier politically this time because he's Nick's guy. But I think ultimately Nick will acquiesce because he's tended to be very political. So he understands the landscape. But I think if they play poorly offensively and they get beat by the 49ers, he's out.
I think Nick's going to get a lot of criticism if they lose to the 49ers based on this week. Fair or not. It's results based. Well, I mean, it's results based, obviously, but
everybody will get heat. Nick, Kevin, Jalen,
Howie, even Howie.
Not so much Howie.
I wouldn't give Howie much heat.
I wouldn't either, but I
mean,
think
Trump, I guess, because he didn't make every right decision. But I mean, you can only do so much.
I mean, like people would go to the resort of, okay, the front office had a role in resting these guys.
And guys, would scapegoat be the right word for Kevin, considering where the offense is this year?
Based on the numbers and based on you have 10 of 11 starters back, even though a lot of guys are hurt, and your offense is as expensive as it is, I don't think I'd use scapegoat. But
yeah, I don't know. I might be.
Someone's got to be the scapegoat, right?
I would, because they got the quarterback who talks about the lack of continuity every chance he gets, and everybody.
He's part of that, though.
Everybody else talks about the lack of continuity every chance they get, and the minute they have a chance to be patient, they don't want to be patient. So I call it scapegoating.
Yeah. I've always been, hey, look, the players are the ones. Everybody can blame Patullo, and look, I blamed them too, but the player's not making the right block, or player's not running the right route, or like John says about the continuity thing, that's on them.
Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it is. It's only, look, if somebody gets another job, there's nothing you can do about it. So if it's successful,
but you can keep this guy. This guy ain't going to be a head coach next year.
well, that's the point. If you have the opportunity, they've done this in the past. They had the opportunity to allow guys to grow, starting, no pun intended, with Mike Rowe, with Press Taylor, people like this. If you want to go back to Doug Peterson, with Brian Johnson here, and this would be with Kevin Patullo, and they want his head on a platter. They don't want.
And Brian Johnson had a top 10 offense too, with less talent.
Brian did. Yeah.
Brian was a scapegoat. That to me was a scapegoat.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, top 10 offense and you blow him out after 1 year? I mean, are you kidding me?
Because your defense was that bad.
I mean, that didn't even make sense. That was like crazy in hindsight. I know.
I still remember on Christmas night 2013, I have it. And when they were chanting run the ball, I said, fans are chanting run the ball. They can't run the ball. And, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, look at the numbers. They can't run the football the way you want them to run the football.
Jeff, where is the Eagles' biggest advantage over the 49ers?
Trenches.
I mean, is that fair? 49ers. I mean, the 49ers don't have the pass rush.
Defensive line, yeah. I mean, 49ers are. I think both teams are getting back their star tackle, right? Eagles should have Lane Johnson back, and the 49ers
and the 49ers should have Trent.
Yeah.
But I think if we're going pound for pound, I think the Eagles' offensive line should beat the 49ers' defensive line. Yeah, I would think.
I agree.
You would think.
Yeah.
Although I don't know.
But they get a lot of factors into play.
Yeah. With Lane and not Lane, Landon and Cam, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's going to be a fun matchup. Whoever's covering Kittle.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck is right.
Good luck. Exactly. It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, the funnest is McCaffrey, what Vic is going to do to stop McCaffrey.
Yeah, we never got to see Vic against the 49ers yet.
Because McCaffrey
he's 1-on-1, man.
Wait, we haven't seen Vic versus the 49ers, not in Philly. No, we haven't. Boy, that's a good matchup, man.
Wait, we haven't seen not in Philly. Yeah,
Vic has handled McVay pretty well, all things considered.
Oh, he owns
John, you love Shanahan. I mean,
that just shows you how long Vic's been around, by the way. Vic was the 49ers defensive coordinator when they were having their runs of Harbaugh.
Oh, he loves talking about Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. He loves talking about
I covered Navarro Bowman in college, John. He was awesome. He was a great guy to talk to, and man, was he a good football player.
Yeah, people don't realize how good Vic has been for how long. His 49ers defense is
a great matchup. Who's got the advantage?
Vic.
Vic and I used to talk Ricky Jackson and Sam Mills, like Hall of Famers, by the way. That's how long Vic's been around.
He's got better players, number one. I mean, that's number one. But from a schematic standpoint, Vic's got all these guys' numbers. He's just
I kind of did a slight on Vic Fangio this week. I said, someone goes, it was Phillies related. Vic Fangio will tell you the real truth about the Phillies. I'm like, no disrespect to Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio doesn't know any more about the Phillies than anybody else.
Oh, man.
He's a fan. He's a fan.
Yeah, he's a fan.
He's a fan, and that's fine. It's, just because he's a football coach doesn't mean he knows what's going on inside that.
There's a spectrum of fans. I mean, there are fans that are smarter than other fans.
Well, of course.
Oh no, he's a smart fan.
He doesn't pay attention. It's just he enjoys it.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like when he said last year the warts are showing on this team. I'm like, kind of like your defense, right, Vic? I can do that too. I'm not right, but
the warts show on everybody's team. Look. He's been around for 40 years. It took him 40 years to win a Super Bowl. It took him 40 years.
Which is kind of crazy, really.
To have a number one defense. But that's the point. It's not I was talking about earlier that I got so much shit for saying he was better than Spags. I'm like, I always used the Larry Brown, Phil Jackson comparison because I love it. To people in the industry, like Vic's the guy. Vic he's been the guy for 20 years. But to fans, it's this guy won a Super Bowl. This guy won a Super Bowl. It's not a vacuum. You're dealing with, you have different groups, you have different teams, you have different, and his defenses are always better than they should be.
Yeah. I always remember back in the day, it was like, okay, let's see what Dungy's doing. And then it changed to what's Monte Kiffin doing and what's Jim Johnson doing. And then it went to what's Vic Fangio doing. And it kind of stayed what Vic Fangio's doing.
Stayed
for a long time.
That's what's
It has
nuts.
stayed. I asked Vic about that, giving him a chance to
Shoot his own horn a little.
yeah, and he didn't, but he did admit, yeah, a bunch of people copied it. A bunch of people.
More than a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's like 15 at the last stage.
Yeah, but
That's
the thing I like most about Vic is that it feels to me like he's continuously evolving. He's never in a stasis. And that's, I mean, I think.
That makes, same thing with Andy on offense. Like I always find it, because people always think same thing. They think new is innovative.
Right.
And new is not
Older
necessarily
guys,
innovative.
Exactly right, John. Exactly.
I think Kyle Shanahan has changed his offense over the years.
Everybody has. If you're around that long, you're not stagnant. Andy Reid is the most innovative offensive mind in football. And he's 65, whatever he is?
Yeah.
Vic is the most innovative defensive mind. He's a senior citizen. It's not young. It's, do you have an open mind? Do you know what's going on? And you know how to adjust to it. And nobody's done it better than Vic.
One of my favorite Andy Reid moments is I showed a clip a couple years ago about like stuff where he was doing in his early years with the Eagles, and they were like, oh, why isn't he, it's still the same offense. I'm like, it's not the same offense. It was innovative back in 2000. The screen pass was very innovative, and Andy Reid brought it in. And the shovel pass, for that matter. And it still works.
Well, anybody who think Andy isn't innovative, doesn't know what they're talking about.
Brett Favre told me he wasn't the same player since Andy Reid left. And Andy Reid left Brett Favre in 1998.
Yep. All right, Jeff, give me your final thoughts here on this Monday edition. We got a big playoff matchup this week, a lot of playoff football this weekend. I think even the college is this weekend, right? College is this week, or Thursday and Friday, I think it is.
So we got college Thursday, college Friday, NFL the next 3 days. So we got some football coming up.
Well, enjoy it, everybody, because once these games are over and the pool dwindles, the football starts to really disappear, and then there won't be much left after that.
Yeah, well, divisional playoff weekend's also a really good weekend, too.
It is, but you're now down to like the last big one,
Yeah. You got Saturday, Sunday, and then the national championship, and then you're right. Then it all kind of goes.
All right, Jeff, your final thoughts. Eagles finish up the year 11-6, and they are now the number 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. They will host the San Francisco 49ers next Sunday, 4:30 Eastern.
Look, I think they have as good a chance to win the Super Bowl as anybody in the NFC. At least go to it. I look at this playoff field and I'm just like, I have no clue. I still think the Texans have just as good of a chance to go to Super Bowl as the Denver Broncos do. But
I know.
We'll see.
It's crazy how open it is on both ends. And the
Eagles
are the only repeat division champion.
That's nuts. Every playoff game.
Division champion.
Every playoff game this weekend is a banger. Every single one.
I think Eagles 49ers is the headliner, though. I really do.
I like Jaguars Bills at 1 o'clock. Well, I think CBS scored big.
That's a great one.
I was concerned they put Packers Bears because of the rivalry on at 4:30 Sunday. So I'm glad they went with the Eagles.
Boy, Prime got a big game for that 8 o'clock Saturday time slot.
Yeah, they did.
That's the Packers Bears game.
That's Packers Bears. Yeah. Fox got 2 games. They got Rams Panthers and they got Eagles 49ers.
Yeah, that's good.
So Fox had 2 wildcard games this year. I think next year I want to say it's CBS. I got to look at the next year.
By the way, I forgot to spike the football. Also, the Eagles finished 11-6. I predicted 11-6.
I had 12-5. So way to go, Nick. Thanks for resting your starters. So
John,
that's why I should blame Nick. He screwed up my record.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Good show, man. Appreciate you joining in as always today. Playoffs on the horizon, my friend. The stakes are higher now. Thanks for doing it today, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother.
Yep. This is the best time of the year, guys. Enjoy it.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Man, there's Jeff Kerr joining us right here on Birds 365. Appreciate Jeff Kerr for joining the show today. Good breakdown. Johnny Mac, playoffs on the horizon, man. It's time to put up or shut up for this Eagles team. Eagles, Niners. Niners finish up 12-5. Eagles finish up 11-6. And the Eagles have a chance to host this playoff game. And maybe, if they get lucky, if the cookie crumbles their way, they could host another playoff game if the Packers are able to upset the Bears. John, what do you make, man? Season's now a wrap. 11-6 is the final record. How do you view this season as it has now come and gone, and we are in playoff mode now?
Well, I did say they're going to win 11, but by no means is that scientific. Just happened to end up that way. So, went a little bit differently than I expected. Didn't think they would have this much of a struggle running the football. Knew it wouldn't be as good as last year, but this is below what they were previous to Saquon Barkley from a rushing perspective. In the Nick Sirianni, they've always been able to run the football really effectively, whether it was Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift as the lead back. They've always been able to run the ball effectively. And this year they've been and I think if you want to boil it down to one thing, which you can't, but if you want to boil it down to one thing, that explains the struggles on offense. But it's more than just Saquon. It's more than just the offensive line. It's more than just Jalen Hurts not being as big in it as an impact on the rushing game. Can they fix it for the playoffs? These are veteran players. I don't put anything beyond them, but if they turn on the light switch and they show up, they're gonna boat race this group of playoff teams. But more likely is that
that's a big if, isn't it, John? I mean, they haven't boat raced anybody this year.
Well,
except for the Giants, whatever.
That's what I was saying. More likely is you have descending players, injured players, and they're not. This is more likely is this is what they are, and it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. And it's going to be don't turn the football over and grind it out close games. Especially in the playoffs, when you see what happened last night, which is not a playoff game, but was essentially a playoff game. One team is going to be disappointed at the end of one of these close games, and it might be a missed field goal. It might be a blown coverage, whatever. And it ends quickly. It's like the Sopranos ending. It's just over.
It's a great ending. Did you like the Sopranos ending?
Yeah, I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it.
I liked it. It's like one of the only shows, John, I truly love. I love that show, man.
That's sort of like what it is. It's just over. Nothing else. And the Eagles aren't as well equipped to just dominate people. So it's going to be a struggle, but I do think I don't look at any team and say they can't beat this team.
But also vice versa too. Do you not look at it that way? Like, I don't look at any team in the playoffs and say, oh, there's no chance they beat the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles could lose any game to me. They could win any game. I agree with that completely.
Yeah, well, there's some teams. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Rams beat the Eagles. Wouldn't surprise me at all. It would surprise me if San Francisco would beat the Eagles. I'd be a little bit surprised if Chicago beat the Eagles, but not in Chicago as much.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Seattle beat the Eagles in Seattle. Certain teams, San Francisco here, that would surprise me. If the Eagles lose this game, that would.
Kyle Shanahan would have to be freaking on one, and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy would. I mean, before the other night, John, Brock was really playing good football. That Niners team was red hot. They're not so much. They've cooled off, but you always say there's not many transitive properties. I'm curious to see what that offense does against Vic Fangio's defense.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going to go crazy. I think they're going to be better than they were against Seattle.
Right. And they're not going to put up 42 like they did on the Bears.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, look, they played a bad game against Seattle. Seattle's a very good defense.
This is where the Eagles' offense concerns me. Like, if the 49ers can put up 24, let's just call it 24, 21, 24, 21 in that range. Does the Eagles' offense get the job done? Do they put up enough points to win that game?
I think they can, but that creates, again, that's the circumstance of the game, the personality of the game. They go spread. If they go tempo, they look better. But then you might have you're moving the football and, you're at the Chargers game and you're looking like you're marching down, you're going to win the game, and then bang, interception, game over. That's the Sopranos ending.
Well, how do you thread that needle, though, of like moving the ball more, but also not having the Chargers outcome? I mean, it's obviously good execution, but
well, that's the problem.
Basically,
that's the problem of these margin. That's the problem of these margin of error games. Somebody tips the ball, game's over.
Don't the Eagles play like that? Isn't their margin for error as small as it can possibly get with this offense?
Not as small as it can possibly get, but yeah, it's very small.
Literally, I mean, it's a small margin.
Yeah, well, that in a large way, I mean, that's the NFL in general. But the Eagles shouldn't have to do it that way, in my opinion, but they do. And that's because they had a lot of success, which is, tied to the ball security and tied to the turnover. So they're risk averse and yada yada. We've been through it a million times. So they play a certain way because they've had success that way. But I mean, so much. If you go back to the last time they went to Chicago and won in the playoffs, Trayvon Hester didn't cut his fingernails and they won a football game. He literally got a little tip of his finger. That kick was going to be good. And he got a little tip of his finger and you had the double doink. And Chicago was the Sopranos ending.
Right.
I mean, when you're playing with that margin of error, it could be, talk about a butterfly effect. And I actually had that conversation with Trey about we asked him, did you cut your fingernails? And joking. But the point is he just tipped it the slightest bit.
Nobody cut your fingernails this week, all right, for the Eagles. For the Eagles. All right, John. It's going to be interesting to see. We got some super chats we'll get to today. Eagles wrap up 11-6. They blew it yesterday, lost the game. Again, I said it at the start of the show. I'll say for everybody new that's listening that didn't hear the start of the show, I, for one, and I only speak for myself, I don't have a problem with what Nick Sirianni did yesterday. I understand you had a chance to get the number 2 seed. Too many things out of your control and no chance at a 1 seed where you could have got a bye week. I'm good with resting the guys, man. I'm good with resting the guys. 17 games is a lot on these athletes, and you want everybody healthy for the postseason run. I am good with Nick Sirianni's decision, but I do understand if you don't like it. I'm good with that as well. Let's get to some super chats here today. Here's Brian Garner. What's up, Brian? Member for 15 months. Thank you, brother. The Eagles better hope they don't lose a defensive back. Ringo and Bennett don't show any ability to step in and be productive. I happen to agree with that.
Yeah, well, I don't even think if they lost, say, Adore Jackson, I think they would kick Cooper outside and put Michael Carter in the slot. I don't. At this stage, I don't think you're going to be seeing Kaylee Ringo or Jacorian Bennett play outside corner, no matter what happens.
Yeah, agreed 100%. They were terrible. They just really struggled yesterday. Here's Joshua. What's up, Joshua? First year OC symptoms, ? After Bills, Nick said he must help get plays called. 3 top 10 years, now both pass and run struggle. Even with Tanner, no rhythm. Kind of how I saw it too.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell these people. You know, it's ironic when they're in a rhythm, they're maybe the most efficient offense they've been, but they don't. Again, it's the 3 and outs, 29.2% coming in yesterday, which yesterday's game doesn't matter because it's a different offense. 32nd in the league, dead last in the league. The other 70% of the time, they're top 10 efficiency. It's a very weird offense. Number 1 red zone. They've never been better in the red zone. Weren't good in the red zone yesterday. Different offense, doesn't matter. It's a very weird offense. But what it comes down to, and it was a very weird offense last year as well. What it comes down to is Saquon Barkley, 2,005 yards versus Saquon Barkley, 1,100 and whatever yards, whatever he ended at. They're not nearly as efficient running the football. That's what it comes down to. Can they change that? Probably not. But can it be better? It should be better than the Miles Sanders running offense, the DeAndre Swift running. That's where you want to get to. You want to get above that level. Is that possible?
We're not even at that level.
No, they're not even at that level. That's the point. Can you get above that level? We're going to see, but time is running out.
No doubt. Now you're knocking down pins. Only 4 of them you got to knock down, and we'll have another parade on Broad Street in February. Get the parade float ready, everybody. I've already reached out to my guy to get the truck back on Broad if the Eagles are able to make a run.
By the way, if they do, and that's very possible, what is the narrative if they win this thing?
Oh, man. No. Well, if they win this thing, then I don't know. What do you think the narrative would be?
I know it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Kevin's not getting fired if they win the Super Bowl, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how people react. I'm sure it'll be they won this, in spite of him, for the most part. But it's going to be interesting.
Here's Philip. What's up, Philip? Not mad at resting starters and not going to blame Nick for that loss, but doesn't that game show that KP is a problem in some sorts? Dude sucks.
Why would a game with Cam Williams and Matt Pryor playing 3 different positions and Drew Kendall playing his first NFL game and Tanner McKee playing his second NFL game? Why would it show that it's a problem? Why? That's like saying the 3rd preseason game is a problem. These guys aren't playing next week. Why is it a problem? They're not playing.
Well, because you saw a lot of the same with the OC, and people think that's the problem, not the players.
So people look at that game and say didn't see any difference than how they played during the regular season. They saw the same thing with Jalen Hurts.
No,
they're dropping back 41 times.
Yeah.
How many times he dropped back? 41?
Just seemed like a bigger volume of passing. It wasn't much difference, in what they did.
Well, yeah, it's even scaled back further because you got a quarterback playing his second game, and a bunch of receivers who don't play. Darius Cooper never played in a relevant other than being a 13 personnel guy. Burton Covey hasn't played on offense all season.
Yeah. I really, John, you know what? Mentally, I've already flushed the game, dude. I really don't care about the game. I said it on the post-game show at the end last night. I'm like, dude, who gives a shit? It's the playoffs now. Like week 18 with Tanner McKee.
By the way, the one, as to my point of they played well early, they got Devontae as freaking 44 real freaking quick.
Yeah, they did. Which I thought was stupid.
So do I, but nonetheless, they got it real quick. They got it done real quick.
Here's Brian Garner. If you don't like the offensive scheme, don't blame KP. Blame Nick. It's his offense.
Well, that's true as well. It's Nick's offense. That's Brian Johnson, the same thing. It's like, to a certain degree, they're hamstrung by the demands, but that's not a bad thing. It's Nick's team. It's Nick's. He has every right to do that. But for the people that don't know, it is his offense. So he's operating under the constraints of. Is it
more Nick's offense or more Jalen's offense? Because I remember, the funny part is like Jalen had that one comment where he made where the offense going to look how Jalen wants it to look. But he's also made other comments on the contrary where it's like, let me out of my straitjacket and we can't play to lose. And some of these other comments. So I
don't know if people noticed, but I always used to tell Jody, these guys aren't under oath.
Yeah, that's
Jalen contradicts himself a lot.
Yes, he does, dude.
I would not.
He really does.
I would not take one quote from one press conference and say it is Nick Sirianni's offense built to take advantage of the strengths of Jalen Hurts. That's what it is.
Makes sense.
Jalen is not controlling anything. Nobody controls anything. By the way, if you watched the Pittsburgh game last night, they had problems with the helmet communication. Rodgers had to switch helmets on a couple of occasions, and he was getting pissed off because he couldn't get the play call. Like Arthur Smith is calling plays in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what people think. Now, the autonomy at the line of scrimmage and being able to change things obviously is very different with guys of that ilk. But there's not a quarterback in football that calls his own plays.
Except for
that doesn't exist anymore. No, he doesn't. He does.
No, he doesn't. But one thing I noticed yesterday, Tanner McKee was at the line of scrimmage with like 18 seconds left on the clock multiple times.
It's because he wants to be there. Yeah, there's something you can decipher.
So now, you don't think Jalen even wants to be up there that early?
It's because he's trying to get something different accomplished than Jalen's trying to get something accomplished. It's basically,
Okay. Here's Suplex.
The point is they're not getting up late because the play is getting in late.
Right.
And they're not, and generally they don't get up to the line of scrimmage that late. They take it down late, which is different as well. Breaking the huddle is different from when the play call. Again, first of all, if you're going, I go back and forth. I guess this will be pet peeve, the worst stat in the history of football. I go back and forth. This nonsense snap count of where it goes. Sometimes you're trying to milk the clock. Has people not ever seen when teams are ahead late and you want to snap the ball with 1 second left on purpose? There are so many different avenues where you want to snap the football late. Sometimes you're trying to milk the clock at the end of the first half. You don't want to give them the football back. You're trying to run and everybody takes this one conglomerate. Sometimes you're going tempo. A lot of teams go tempo and it's quick. It is such a bad stat. It is such a bad stat. And people latch on to it because they think it's a problem. And it hasn't been a problem with the exception of a few occasions where they weren't able to kill from run to pass or pass to run. And that they want to improve to a certain degree. But overall, they haven't gotten a lot of pre-snap penalties recently. And it's because Jalen is handling the clock well and getting the snap off. But boy, man, that is overblown. As you saw with Tanner McKee getting out as quickly as he did.
Yeah, right. Here's Suplex. Does JG survive Black Monday?
Yeah, I think from everything I've indicated, they're going to give him one more season and change the coordinator. So he's on I believe he'll be on the clock. So you have the scapegoat level. So you scapegoat the coordinators or a couple of the coordinators, and then the head coach is on the clock. So that's pretty much the life cycle he's in.
Suplex, appreciate you, brother. I think he should be fired, but whatever. Here's Pumper. The Jalenites need to seek help. Jalen has AJ and Smitty, while Tanner has Covey and Grant. Comparing caviar and champagne to sardines. Shameful creatures. Well, I tell you what, I give Pumper this. He's a funny dude, man. He puts some funny comments in.
Well, there is a difference between playing with AJ and Devontae and playing with Darius Cooper and Britton Covey. Yes, there is a difference.
There's a big difference, no doubt. All right, Pump, appreciate it. Here's Vitality. What's up, Vitality? Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Z and J-Mac, for another great season on Birds 365. Not over yet. Let's enjoy these playoffs into the parade. Wow. Always excited for what comes next with the team and the channel. Much love. Appreciate you, Vitality. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I think they're better equipped to go all the way than they were last year. Because I'm with Jeff. I thought Detroit was better. I don't know if anybody's better than the Eagles this year. Seattle's probably on the same level. The Rams have not been playing well recently, but I thought they were the best team for most of the season. But they're not playing their best at the most important time. So we'll see how it goes. But I wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles go to the Super Bowl again.
Wouldn't surprise me either. Vitality, thank you, brother. Here is Pumper again. Makes sense, J-Mac. It has to be Hurt's fault to get to the line late because I know for damn sure Jalen's playbook is 4 lines long. That's Pumper. Wow.
Well, it's longer than that. They have about 150 plays in each game plan, about, give or take. But so as usual, Pumper's off on this island. No, what it indicates is a young quarterback who's not sure of himself because he doesn't have a lot of experience, wanting to make sure he can calm down and make sure he doesn't get those pre-snap penalties. Whereas you see more experienced quarterbacks willing to take the play clock down because they're comfortable that they can get the playoff. And again, the Eagles have not had a ton of delay of games recently. I don't think they've had any over the last 5-6 games. It's just comfort more than anything else. You'll see guys drain it down. You saw it last night. You will see guys drain it to 1 second all the time. Now, the other part that can be an issue is you don't want to do it to the point where the defense understands you're taking it all the way down. And then the smart pass rushers will look at the clock and jump the snap because they know it's coming with 1 second. They don't have to worry about any cadence or anything like that. So it's a give and take, but boy, it's gotten overblown here.
Here is Roll Philly. What up, Roll? Hope you're doing well, brother. He says a lot of McKee's mistakes weren't personnel related, like throwing the ball away on 4th down for the game. Unrealistic expectation for the kid. Roll, I will admit, I don't know what the hell that was. I mean, I know you need a miracle to happen, but there's no miracle even possible when you throw the ball into the stands on 4th down for the game with a couple seconds left. That was funny.
That is a fair criticism. I mean, if it's 4th and 50, whatever, just throw it up and give somebody a chance. Yeah. That's often an issue with young quarterbacks. The guy's got no experience. I don't know what people expect with Tanner McKee. Like, they built him up to be this mythical superstar in waiting. This is his 2nd NFL start playing with a bunch of backups. What did you think was going to happen? You know, even last year when it was successful, it was the same thing. It was good early and it was bad late. And that's because as you go through the game, and it's a very vanilla game plan, and you start repeating things, and people know what's coming from a defensive perspective, it gets shakier.
Yeah,
and that's what happened.
He said unrealistic expectations for the kid. I think he's right.
And the same thing will happen next year if he's playing Week 18. Same thing, except it'll be his 3rd start. It'll be a little bit better. But I don't think you're getting that 1st round pick.
No, they're not. They're not getting a first round pick. What would they get? 4, 3?
Maybe. Again, there's dumb people. Running teams in this league. Maybe you can get a conditional 4, get it up to a third if he turns into a
That's
starter.
what I was thinking. Howie likes to do those conditionals.
Yeah. And it only takes one fish. You only need one fish. You said, I think that guy can play. Then you get a second round pick. But you ain't getting a first round. Not at this stage.
The Titans have requested to interview OC Matt Nagy for their head coaching job.
Yeah, Matt's gonna get. He's been connected with that job for a while, so they've had a head start with an interim coach. They probably made it clear at back channels, so wouldn't surprise me if he gets his second opportunity. I think he was a little bit. He got that team to the playoffs in Chicago. I thought people bailed on him a little too quickly, but I don't see any home run candidate. Like last year, you had Brable and Ben Johnson. This year, it's kind of a shaky, and I think it's going to be mainly defensive guys. Jesse Minter is a big name. Somebody should hire Flores. I've heard Las Vegas maybe would go.
Like if you're the Raiders, because you've always said if you're going to draft a quarterback, have the coach in place to help develop them.
Yeah, you definitely. In the case of if you hire a defensive guy, you have to hire
a great,
really good offensive coordinator
who's probably going to be gone after the year if you have a good.
A lot of people. The Las Vegas, some speculation they might pair Flores with Brian Daboll. That might work. But I don't know. I think people forget Brian Flores was in when he was in Miami, did not have a good relationship with Tua, to say the least, and he did not handle that properly. Look, he's right in the fact that he didn't think the guy could play, or play to the level at least that you need to be. So he's right, but you have to, as the leader of the team, you have to handle it better. You can't just, rip the kid behind the scenes, dismiss him, things like that. But so I don't know if he's got the mindset to be a head coach, but he's a great defensive coordinator, though. Great.
Here's I forgot to read this. Sorry, Joshua. I saw your post. Joshua says, John, what are the symptoms of a bad OC on a team? Question.
Obviously, a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of mental errors. This is what I was talking about. A lot of pre-snap penalties, which was a big problem early in the season for the Eagles, and I just think deserves more criticism. That's why they pretty much cleaned that up.
Yeah, I was going to say they cleaned that up pretty well.
But that was a big issue. Depending on who's the head coach, again, if you have a defensive head coach, the offense is pretty much running. It's more difficult with the Eagles because it's Nick's offense. So you're operating within the constraints of what Nick Sirianni wants. So it's a little bit tougher to gauge. This team is very, obviously, since I assume this is about Kevin, this is the reason I'm answering this. This team is very risk-averse, ball security conscious. Is that really what Kevin Patullo is as an offensive coordinator? Well, I would say no, because look at Kellen Moore pre-Philadelphia and look at Kellen Moore post-Philadelphia. Right. Not the same offense.
He's not the head coach, exactly. He can't set the floor.
Again, if you want to hate the Eagles' offense, that's all fine.
Do you think Nick should give more autonomy to the offensive coordinator?
No, because it's his team and he wants it run his way, and he's had tremendous success.
That's fair.
But I think people should recognize, look, if you want to blame Nick first, and then, then you can go down the list. And to Nick's credit, he says that. But I think a lot of people don't believe that for some reason. Even though the offense, again, not results, what does the offense look like? What do you think has dramatically changed from 2021 to now, other than the evolution? Say 2021, week 8 to now, other than the first 4 games of last season when they were trying to insert some of Kellen Moore's concepts before they scaled back and turned into even a more hyper version of Nick Sirianni's Jalen Hurts offense. I mean, I don't think, you guys were complaining about the same stuff last year. The same stuff. Yeah, and then they won the Super Bowl. It's like you were pregnant and you forgot you were pregnant.
Joshua, thanks for the super, brother. Here's Pumper, final one here. 150, my ass. Hurts has 5 plays. Inside zone, RPO, Goddard swing, tush push, all curls, and the Hail Mary.
Well, I think one of us in this conversation has seen the play charts, and it ain't Pumper. Yeah, it's 150-ish. That's what it is.
All right, Pump. How many of them do they call, I guess would be a better question.
Well, nobody calls 150.
Right, obviously. There's not that many.
It's not 150 in a game.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to people. That's how big that is. And some guys are even bigger. Some guys are smaller. A lot of shit in an average NFL game plan. Can you get to it? Do you get to it? No. A lot of stuff you don't get to. But, people believe what they want to believe. I've learned that along the years.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
But yeah, I mean, this has been, and by the way, Nick would change the offense if the quarterback changed. And again, that's not advocating a quarterback change. He's building. That's what good coaches do.
Right.
You build around the strengths of your players.
All right, John, set the stage for us this week. What is the agenda for the Eagles, or at least just what it looks like? I know you probably don't have a schedule yet because they never give you shit.
No.
But, I mean, you can probably project it's a Sunday game, so it's a normal work week for the
normal.
team, obviously with playoffs, though. Heightened awareness.
Well, nothing changes. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be, Nick will talk today.
Zoom, probably, right?
Zoom, yeah. Coordinators will talk tomorrow. Practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and walk through Saturday. So normal Sunday to Sunday game week, which is a good thing. No shifts in preparation. So very structured. So it's good to play on Sunday. I think that was the best potential for the Eagles, not Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. And that's how it worked out for them. Again, the high-profile team. People that say, by the way, 4:30 is the biggest. I don't know if people realize.
Yes.
4:30 Sunday and Wildcard with. That's the big one. That's the big one.
Yep.
So for all the people that the league hates the Eagles, they got the big one, not the Bears and Packers.
I think the Eagles have become like the team that people either love or they hate. They hate watch, which is a great thing.
Well, they're not the most entertaining team.
Well, that's what I mean. So people hate watch them. They're like, see, this team blows. They can't move the ball on offense. And then they win the game anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's been their MO. Yeah.
Here's one more super chat to wrap up. Nyla says, reflection time. When has Sirianni and Hurts been the most honest in the presser?
Well, Nick was very honest early in his career. To a certain degree. He always had the competitive advantage, weird thing, but he was very honest. Then he kind of scaled back after the collapse in 2020. Thought people were unfair to him, which I don't agree with, but nonetheless, that was the turning point for him. I think Jalen Hurts has gotten much better this year. Opened up. because he did win the Super Bowl. I think he's still has his moments, but hey, last Wednesday was one of his most interesting press conferences.
Yeah, I read your article about it. You wrote about it on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, I think it was one of his most revealing and interesting press conferences ever, to be honest. And, he's been better this year, but he's never been, he's not the most open guy, never will be. But he's been a little bit more open this year than he's ever been before, honestly. And I think that's because he won. And he was a little bit more comfortable and reassured.
Well, a good answer on. I mean, he said naturally when you get there, you obviously, you know that what you've done and what you've thought was right is right. But I thought that was a good answer actually by him. All right, John, I will say this, and I don't want to speak for you. You seem pretty confident for the Eagles to get the win in the wild card matchup. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way. I don't have to make predictions, but I don't think there's any way I'm coming off this prediction. So I can do it this early in the week. Yes, they will beat the San Francisco 49ers.
I love it. A vote of confidence from Johnny Mac, John McMullen. All right, J-Mac, your final thought here on the show today. They lose the game, but we have flushed that on Birds 365, and it's now playoff time.
Yeah, hopefully it's gotten better as I've gone through the show. Anybody have any I got to get.
I know you hit me with the ditty early in the show. Do you know what the brand is that I'm talking about?
No, but I know how people.
I get it. You can get it at any store. I use this shit, John. It is amazing. It is amazing. Let me pull it up for you here. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's called Throat Coat.
Yeah, I don't like that because
I know you don't like the name because people are weird as shit. I got it. I understand, but I'm telling you right now, this stuff works. It really works. Right. Yeah, so get that. Here it is. Here it is. I'll pull it up for you. There it is. This is what you need, John.
We're going organic. So is this? Can I get this at Walgreens? Can I get this at CVS?
CVS anywhere. Yep.
All right. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I would do it. Put some honey in there. J-Mac, that voice will be feeling good, my friend. All right, John, good stuff, man. Appreciate you doing it today, as always. And we will talk to you tomorrow on a Tuesday edition of Birds 365, and we'll be listening to Nick today. Thank you, man.
All right, see y'all.
All right, thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Good show today, everybody. Appreciate all you guys being here today. Playoff time now for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. Playoff time for the Philadelphia Eagles. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like button. I feel pretty good, too. John's confident. John is more confident than I thought he'd be. But you guys are fucking weirdos, man. You really are. All you guys in the chat, you're weirdos. Do you know that? I hope when you all look in the mirror, you know you guys are effing weirdos. I mean, people having throat problems and voice problems is like one of the most common cold symptoms on the planet. And we can't even talk about it because you guys are children. You guys are children. I mean, these comments are insane. You guys are weird, all of you. Now you're all laughing at me. You guys are goofs. Oh, my God. Xander drinks a tea that helps his voice because he talks for a living. Oh, my God. That is so funny. Ah! You guys are weird. All right? Tom Coons, certified weirdo. Look at him. He's got the Redskin logo because they lost. That's funny. All right. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. We got a couple more supers. Here's Pump. Well, all those so-called 150 plays, how does KP determine which plays they'll use? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's pretty funny, Pump. That's pretty funny. All right. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Kimberly says, Kimberly, you might be the only normal one in the chat. Xander Schefter reports the Bengals are keeping Taylor. Good for them. That guy's a stiff. All right, that guy's a stiff. Xander, we always lose when J-Mac is confident. Giants, Bears, Chargers, Commanders. Weirdly, Pump, you're kind of right. All right. Tea time. I'll do that in a second, bro. Remind me in a sec, all right? 5 people in our office screamed out pause at the same time. Man, your office is a bunch of diddlers. How about that, B. Lizzle? All you people in the office listening to me, you're a bunch of diddlers, okay? You're a bunch of diddlers. I know in your guys' little cubicles at your office, every one of you has Diddy oil stacked up in the corner. You diddies. Holy moly. Here's Joshua. Nick hinted at something new after the Bills game, saying, I have to make sure we get the plays we want called. Even he thinks KP is struggling. I agree, Joshua. I think Nick has made a couple comments like that this year. All right. Fly Goes Fly says, I'm a proud weirdo, but I didn't say anything. All right, good for you. Good for you. You were able to keep it in. Early score. Yeah, Ro, I put last night. I said 23-13. That was my early prediction. I reserve the right to change that. But, Ro, I feel like our defense is really going to make the 49ers offense struggle, dude. Like, the Seahawks had their number. I don't think they have that bad of a performance where they score 3 points, but I think Vic Fangio is going to have Purdy in hell. He's going to mix things up so he can't just – the thing about Purdy is he makes amazing throws. And I think he's a great quarterback. But if you get him off his spot and speed him up a little bit, he can turn that ball over, man. So I think Vic Fangio's got the plan for him. I know what he's going to do. I got 23-13 in that. I don't think our offense can explode for this big amount of points. They haven't really done that all year, but you keep their offense low. Maybe you get a pick six or a defensive touchdown in the football game late, and you win the game by 10 points. Yeah, I said that last night. I feel like it's a 10-point win for the Birds. So that would be my early thought. I know it's optimistic, but I feel good about this team, man. This team has a lot of playoff success. They really do. I mean, guys, we talked about this earlier in the show, and it made me realize it. Jalen Hurts is 6-3 in his postseason career. He's beat teams like the Rams, the Packers, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. Who was it a couple years back? Was it in 22? I don't even remember who they beat in that road. The 3 losses are the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57 and the Bucs twice. That's it. The Bucs twice and the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. Those are Jalen's 3 playoff losses. Like, he knows how to win the big games, man. The Niners, that's right, beat the Niners. Obviously, that was a famous game. I'm blanking on it. So, I mean, this team's got playoff pedigree. There's no doubt. The perfect storm, Eagles will host the NFC Championship game. Well, that means the Rams would knock off the Seahawks. That's possible, Park. That's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility, that's for sure. So, it's going to be interesting. It's funny. I don't know if it's in here or right outside. Let me look. I don't have it. I don't. I thought I did. I thought I had a nice, fresh box of throat coat. I do have it in my kitchen for sure. All right. I do have it. Ro, I kind of agree. I think Purdy got a little darner in him. Here's Ro. Here's the difference, though. Purdy has been to a Super Bowl. Like, Purdy also does have moments where he's been good, So, he's got a little Darnold in him, I agree, but not a full Darnold. Just a little Darnold, not a full Darnold. All right? Diddy tea. It's not Diddy tea. It's good. It doesn't taste good. I hate the taste of it. I don't like the fucking gnarly, but it does work. My diehard Niners buddy thinks they're gonna blow. That's ridiculous. What do you mean blow us out? Yeah, he's gonna blow out the Eagles defense who's given up 14 points a game since week 10. What are you gonna blow us out? 14-3? Come on, man. Blow us out. What the fuck does that even mean, blow us out? Even the Bears, who ran for 281, didn't blow us out. What, they have 23 or 24 points in that game? I mean, come on. Blow us out. If you want to predict as a Niners fan that you're going to win the game, I'm fine with that. But blow us out? I mean, that's a B-Lizzle pause. Every one of our national TV. Well, our offense doesn't look very good on national. Wait, Kimberly, Kimberly, you know what's funny? Kimberly, you know what's funny? Now, I don't take a lot of like painkillers or anything. I'm like the kind of guy, if I have a headache, I drink a bunch of water to try and get it to go away. You know what's pretty funny though, Kimberly? You guys remember the day I took the Tylenol PM the night before? Oh, man, I was delirious on the show. Here it is. I have not yet taken any more of it. These are all the PMs. The daytime ones are gonzo. All right? That's pretty funny. I can't take any more of that stuff. All right? No, thank you. No, thank you, Kimberly. So here's Curtis. We are counting on other teams' issues to show up instead of us going out and beat people. Curtis, that's not true at all. The defense is the defense, dude. Curtis, 14.5 points a game. We're not counting on other issues. We're counting on our defense. Curtis, I know you don't like the offense. I understand. I don't like it either. But this isn't an honest comment. We're not counting on other issues. We're counting on our great defense because that's how we win football games in 25. Now 26. I mean, that's not true. Come on, man. We're counting on our defense. I'm not counting on mistakes. I'm counting on our defense, which has been exceptional all year long and extremely exceptional since the trade for Jalen Phillips. Come on, man. Now, Curtis, if you want to sit here and tell me we're counting on some, offensive performance that we haven't seen, then I'll agree. I don't know what the offense is going to do. They could do anything. They could score 24. They could score 3. Either one wouldn't really surprise me. All right? Either one wouldn't surprise me. Zander with the come on. I think I give a lot of this. The come on, man. Come on, man. Zander hitting that lean. Come on, go Birds. There you go. There's another one. I take Advil like it's can't. Oh, Zeal, don't do that, dude. It is a miracle drug, but don't take it that much. It's terrible for you. Advil's terrible for you, isn't it? I avoid Advil. I know it's a miracle drug. You're right about that. Take a couple Advil. It's like, holy shit, I'm riding on cloud 9. But I was having that back pain. I would only take Advil if it was really, really bad and I had like shows to do and I had to work for a long time. But come on, Zeal. I don't want to see you got health problems because of Advil. It's just ibuprofen. I love Advil. All right, whatever. I'm not going to say you know what? I'll say this. Do whatever the fuck you want. All right, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Is that better, Zeal? I should have said that from jump. I don't let anybody tell me how to live my life, so I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. So here's Penn. Coop, pick 6 on Purdy. Penn, I could see that. LMFAO, it's ibuprofen. Yeah, well, Reyes, there's a lot of doctors out there who say that it's not great for you. I mean, just because it works doesn't mean it's good for you, Reyes. Leave it to Reyes to just one pharmaceutical ad comes on the TV. Advil is okay for you. And Reyes is like, yeah, it is. Fucking Reyes. Reyes, look, Reyes, look at your ceiling. There's gullible on the roof. Oh, wow. Here's corporate. Zander has been a historic season. Consecutive NFC East division title and Jalen being the first player to turn over the ball in one play, twice in one play. Marvelous. Look, it's true. It's true. There's a bunch of water. It's not a bunch of water. You actually need electrolytes. Will help. It will. So I had this thing called what's that stuff called? I can't remember what it's called. It's like electrolytes. You pour it in your water. Damn, what's it called? Yeah, you can use like Element or Relight. I use Relight. You use Relight, get a bottle of water, pour it into the Relight or pour it into the water, shake it up, and go, boom, top it, top the bottom. Boom. Boom, it helps. Well, no shit, Gary. Captain Obvious, Gary says, it depends. If you have a brain aneurysm, it's not going to be fixed by water. Thanks, Gary. Gary, I don't know what we do without you today, Gary. I don't know what we do, Gary. Oh, that's funny. Holy shit. This guy's Captain Obvious today. Boom. Throat coated. All right. I was hoping to, guys, I was hoping to have a good Zander time today. It's been 14 minutes, and the only thing we've talked about is throat coat and Tylenol. I mean, holy shit. Throat coat and Tylenol. Jesus criminy. Liquid IV, yeah, it's good. It's got a lot of sugar in it, I think. It's more interesting than discussing the offense. That might be true. Joe Schoen retained. Beautiful for the Eagles. That guy's a stiff. All right. That guy's a stiff, Joe Schoen. That guy's a stiff. Thug it out and talk like RFK Jr. I can't. Look, I don't know what happened to his voice. I legitimately cannot listen to that guy. I can't. I struggle with listening to him. I agree, Z. OTC medicine's bad for your insides. Pumper must take a lot of Tylenol. I don't know. I think Pumper's quick-witted. He might be the opposite. I think it's more like a Reyes guy, I think it's more like a Reyes guy. Or like a Zeal. They pop Advil and Tylenol like it's candy. Oh, no. Let me take a drug that makes every teeny tiny bit of pain in my body go completely away, and I'm sure there's no other ramifications. It might be killing your pain, Reyes, but it's killing something else, too. All right? Fucking Reyes. Every doctor in the world tells you don't take too much Tylenol or Advil. Literally every single doctor. I don't even think it's this fringe doctor thing. And Reyes is acting like we're loonies. Here's Nyla. Worst offense player and defensive player this season. Worst offensive player and defensive player? Worst offensive player might be Cam Jurgens. Right? Worst offensive player? I don't know. What do you guys got? Worst offensive player. Daz, I'm pure blood. Daz, I'm pure blood, baby. Come on, Daz. Pure bloods only, baby. I don't fall for the bullshit. Mine is actually for a very specific reason. My mom was diagnosed with MS when I was 18 years old. And she went in, and the doctors told her, you're going to be on medication for life, which is not good for you, the medication that they gave you to treat MS, multiple sclerosis. Actually, the same thing that Fernando Mendoza's mother has. My mom has MS. My mom walked out of that doctor's office and said, I'm not taking medication for life. She was on medication for a year, worked on her health, read all about it, got this huge, big textbook of this doctor who wrote about MS and how to cure it, completely fixed her diet, completely changed her workouts, and she no longer takes medication, hasn't taken it for 6 years, and doesn't have a single symptom of MS. That's when the health thing changes in my family. So it's for a very specific reason. I didn't wake up one day and choose violence on Tylenol. I didn't, as much as Reyes wants me to. I didn't wake up and choose violence on Tylenol and Advil. So, shout out to my mom, who's a legend. Reyes wouldn't understand that, though. Reyes wouldn't understand that. So, all right, guys, good show today. Good show today. Let's look at, what did T-Time ask me to look at the 49ers rankings? Let's do that. All right, let's look at the offensive ranks. Here we go. Inspiring story of your mom. Thanks, Chi-Town. My mom's a legend. All right, total offense. The 49ers are 7th overall in total offense. Not the most perfect metric in the world, but I'll give it to you anyway. 49ers, 7th overall in total offense. They average 362 yards per game. Passing offense, the 49ers are 4th overall. 252 passing yards per game. They are behind only the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Patriots. All right, 4th in the NFL. Rushing offense. 49ers have been struggling this year. They are 22nd in the NFL. 22nd in the NFL with 110 rushing yards per game. Scoring offense, they are 8th in the NFL with 27.1 points per game. 8th in the NFL, excuse me. Red zone offense, look at this. This is interesting. Here, let me pull this up. I'll pull this up so you guys can see this. All right, this is foxsports.com. Here's red zone. Check this out, guys. Red zone offense. Eagles are number 1. 49ers are number 2. Eagles 70.7%, 49ers 66.2%. And the reason I think the 49ers red zone offense is more impressive than the Eagles is because they've been in the red zone a lot more times than the Eagles have. The Eagles have only been in the red zone, I think, like 40-something times. It's good for 29th in the NFL. They showed that stat on the broadcast yesterday. And then third down offense, they're number 1 in the NFL. Third down offense, the 49ers are number 1 in the NFL. Eagles are 24th in the NFL. All right, so let's run these back real quick, and we'll compare 49ers and Eagles. Total offense, 7th in the NFL, 362. Eagles are 24th in the NFL. Passing offense, 49ers are 4th in the NFL. Eagles are 23rd in the NFL. Rushing offense, 49ers are 22nd in the NFL. Eagles are 17th in the NFL. Scoring offense, 49ers are 8th in the NFL. Eagles are 19th in the NFL. Whew, man. Red zone offense, Eagles 1, 49ers 2. Eagles 1, 49ers 2. And then third down offense, this is impressive. Number 1 in the NFL is the 49ers on third down. That's big, man. That might be literally the matchup next week to watch, folks. Can the Eagles defense get off the field and get stops on third down? That's what it's going to come down to. All right, now let's do defense. All right, defense. Total defense. Eagles are 13th in the NFL. 49ers are 19th in the NFL. Passing defense. Eagles are 9th in the NFL. 49ers are 25th in the NFL. So their pass defense sucks. Oh, what did the Eagles not do? The Eagles don't take advantage of bad defenses. Rushing defense. The Eagles are 20th in the NFL, and the 49ers are 6th in the NFL. So good rushing defense. Good rushing defense for the Niners so far. Scoring defense. Eagles are 3rd in the NFL. Look at that, folks. 3rd in the NFL in scoring defense. That is amazing. That's the most important defensive metric. Scoring defense. They only give up 18.8 points per game, and it's 14.5 since week 10, since we acquired Jalen Phillips. So that's amazing right there. And the 49ers are 13th in the NFL. Okay? Red zone defense. Eagles are 8th in the NFL. Pretty good. 49ers are 15th in the NFL. And then that's red zone. Third down defense, which maybe even is more important. The Eagles are 16th in the NFL and the 49ers are 15th. All right, so that's the game, man. Third down is the freaking game. Third down is the game. Third down is literally going to be the game, folks. Can the Eagles get off the field on third down for the 49ers? And can the 49ers sustain drives by converting on third downs? That's going to be the game right there. That's going to be the game. Here's Vitality. That's it, Zay. You found it. That seems like the biggest matchup. Agreed. Niners third down efficiency. I agree, man. That's huge. That's huge. Here's Tom Coons. I'm here, Big Mike. Zander, treat me like a redheaded stepchild. Yo, Coons, you've made like 14 accounts in 3 days. What do you think I am? Placating your account making? Twist, sit your ass down and shut up. Zander, what's the 3 and out rankings? Where could I find that? Next gen stats. Who's got that? I don't know where I would even find that. It's one of the ones I haven't been able to find all freaking year. No, that's not it. Zander, are there new strength? There is. Curtis, I don't like strength of schedule that much. Like I heard Jason Cole, who's a Hall of Fame voter, talk about this. And I thought he was right. He's like, it's the NFL. This isn't college. Strength of schedule matters in college. In the NFL, it matters a little bit, but not what people make it out to be. Everybody's an NFL team. You heard John say, Curtis, only one repeat division winner this year. That is insane, dude. That is insane. One new division winner. Or one repeat, division winner. Like that shows you how much it changes year to year. So strength of schedule to me is meh. Here's Ray. Of course, Ray says strength of schedule matter. I know, Reyes. You're so smart, Reyes. Worst offensive. All right, we got to go back to this. I never answered it. Worst offensive player. Guys, who's the worst offensive player this year for the Eagles? Who's the worst offensive player this year for the Eagles? Cam, I agree. Jurgens, that's who I said too. Kev says Hurts. I thought there'd be a Hurts. Cam or that's a good one too. Camp Block and Terra is a good one. That's true, Gary. That's a good one. Pro Bowler Cam. It's funny how the guy who makes the Pro Bowl is the only one that the Eagles fans all collectively say was the worst guy on offense this year. Guy's a stiff, Cam Jurgens. I don't think he's ever returning, by the way. I know. That's my black pill take on the Eagles. That Cam Jurgens will never be the same. Take the black pill. There's a red pill and a blue pill and a black pill. Take the black pill. Cam Jurgens is a stiff. All right, who's the worst defensive player this year? I guess probably Adoree. Not Reed. Not Makuba. Nolan Smith. I don't think so, Nolan. Nah, Nolan sets the edge well. Reed's a decent one. Starter, yeah. Go starter, Gary. Keep it starter. No, it's not Ringo. Ringo didn't start, you goons. Yes, Moonlight, first team. It's not Dingo. It's not Dingo Ringo. Take him out of the equation. Guy's not a starter. Guy would be the worst on the backups, too. Adoree, I guess. Yeah, I agree. I think it's got to be Adoree, I guess. He started some games. Yeah, he did. Pumper, Ringo hate is not forced. That guy's a stiff. Eat your crow. Moonlight says Blankenship. Nolan Smith, Kev says. I don't know. I didn't think Nolan Smith was great, but I don't think he was terrible. Come on, Vitality. Jalen Carter, he wasn't great, but worst defensive starter? That's insane. Jalen Carter, the worst defensive starter. Vitality, what crack are you smoking? You smoking on that throat coat. You smoking on that throat coat, Vitality. Smoking on that throat coat. B. Lizzle. Here comes B. Lizzle. Pause. Here's Chester. I agree. I'm excited to have Lane Johnson back too. The fact that it's hard to think of says a lot. I agree. Bro on that Advil PM. Izzy B checks in. Enough with that throat coat. Izzy B, you know what's ironic? I haven't seen you comment in months. And then we mentioned throat coat, and Izzy B comes out of the woodwork. Throat coat mention, and Izzy B runs to the keyboard. That's pretty funny. Is Lane confirmed? It's not confirmed yet, but I did see. I'm always here. You just ignore me. I don't ignore you. Izzy B, I don't ignore anybody. If I see a comment that's worthy of bringing up, I'll bring it up. Look, I just brought up your comment on throat coat. Proof of not ignoring you. Come on, Izzy B. I know you want attention. Most females do. Sorry to all my ladies in the chat. Sorry to all the ladies in the chat who just caught a stray. It's true, though. All right? It's true. James from Facebook says, don't think they really wanted the 2 seed. Maybe not, James. Maybe not, brother. All right. Xander, what happened to Easy Money? I have no idea. Is that the dude who used to love Matt Corral? That's pretty funny. All right. Fly goes fly is a girl says, oh, bite me. Hey, listen, is it true? Are you a lesbian? You should know this more than anybody. But you should know this more than anybody. You females love attention. All right? Come on. Fly goes fly. You have more. You know this maybe better than the dudes in the chat. All right? Blue Bing, what's up, brother? Appreciate the stream. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you being here. All right? Adoree is the worst starter, but he's a lot better than the backups. That is very true, Roll Philly. Is he a hater? I don't think Izzy's a hater. She might be. Who knows? Who knows? I got a lot of haters. I love them all. Yeah, I don't think Izzy says she's not a hater. I don't think she's a hater. Throat goon. All right. You know, guys, I got to end the Xander time. I was hoping to go to like 11:30 today. See, the one thing Izzy's right on, she said this months ago. This chat is filled with gooners. And I think you're right, Izzy B. I think you're right. Bunch of brain-fried goobers. Here's Kimberly. JAKIB women rule the school. Kimberly, do you need attention, though? That's not my question. Do you need attention? That's the question, Kimberly. I bet you your husband would answer. He would say yes. So, all right. Z, how many pictures are we going to get? I know, Roll. It's like I'm already done with them, dude. I flushed the game yesterday. I don't give a shit. I'm focused on the playoffs now. All right? You don't make history. You don't become a dynasty. You don't win Super Bowls in the regular season in week 18. Okay? Roll, I don't give a rat's ass. I do think Ringo posting on social media makes him look like a goober, though. Kyle. That's funny. We need to leave the word goon in 25. Vitality, I don't fall prey to the societal culture that we live in that has these culture around words and shit. I don't give a shit. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's gone. Eagles trash. My 49ers are going to spank you losers. There's Ted Hill. Ted, welcome to the show, man. Ted, we just went down the ratings. Your offensive ratings are pretty good, my friend, or your offensive numbers, I should say. All right? Your offensive numbers. We need to leave glazed donut. Yeah, the glazed donut was brutal. It's like all over the chat now. Glaze. People talking about glaze. Glaze this, glaze that, glaze here, glaze there. Okay, enough glaze. All right? But, all right, guys. Eagles are ready to rock. Eagles are ready to rock. Playoff game coming up. Ted Hill's about to get his ass beat. Appreciate all you guys being here. If you're having any throat problems, go grab yourself some throat coat. I should ask for a sponsorship of throat coat. B. Lizzle would love that. All right? Stay off the Tylenol and the Advil. All right? And a good Xander time today. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.